I'm really, really looking forward to. which is funny.
I'll try not to disappoint.
Oh man, you're not going to disappoint. I just laugh at the communication that we've had for. I'm like, so Pooch, I need some stuff for the thumbnail. I don't know, just find a photo of me and whatever you want for the bio. I just copied your bio from the website,
which is totally fine. I mean, man, just don't give me homework. I've got so many things coming at me. It's just like I'm glad you were able to find something you could use.
So if I told Justin, I said, Pooch said to find whatever picture you want. Have fun. And that's Justin Levy, little Justin.
Yeah.
But we are live, so welcome everyone. This is the Making Awesome Podcast, Season 2, Episode 18. We have the illustrious Mr. Pooch from Repkord. Pooch, do you know what I say when I'm asking to tell us the Backstreet Boys?
Tell us the Backstreet. You want me to sing for you?
No, the who you are, the where you from, the what you did, and as long as you love me.
I thought, okay. I thought you were gonna have me, bust out a few.
Hey,
I can do that. That's another podcast.
It's free form, man. Whatever you want to do. You want to throw some tunes down? Let's go.
Is that there? I Want It That Way, or I'm confusing my boy bands probably at this point.
That is the problem.
Yeah. So I'm Pooch from Repkord. Repkord on all the things. Although I am most active for most of you guys on Twitter. I try to dabble in the other places, but as a business owner operator and stuff, it gets really hard sometimes to pay attention to the marketing and the branding side of things. But I like I said, I have a little company called Repkord. We produce our flagship product called the Rep Box, which is really just a box that you can put your filament in, right? And it's one of those things that ended up being kind of, I don't know, I want to say lightning in a bottle because it's still kind of a niche product, but it's done way better than I think I ever envisioned it to be. So I did that with my buddy Travis. You might know him as A Pyro Design. A couple of years ago, we were just like, we've got a ton of filament laying around. In fact, so I went to the green screen because it's just a mess back here. So this gives the illusion of organization.
Oh, what organization? I just friggin' went for it. Actually, this is more organized than normal. An upcoming video is behind
it. It looks good. It looks good, dude. Yeah, if you were to see behind this, it was just, you would see like just the chaos and stuff. But anyway, we were like, we've got way too much filament. We need something. And it just started as like something that he and I were like, let's make something that will help, clean this up a little, look nice. And I don't think the intent really wasn't ever to sell it. We just kind of promoted like, hey, we made this thing. And then people were like, well, can I buy one? Can I buy one? And it was one of those products that just kind of like was born of necessity and took off, from there. And then, over the years, Travis and his wife, Heather, Dawn of the 3D Print Mafia, which we can get into later, kind of decided they wanted to spin off and do their spinnermation business. And we're still very close and very good friends and stuff like that. And then, of course, we had COVID hit and we did the Shields Up operation. I mean, there's like so much back history that could potentially go into. But long story short, kind of had to be making a decision of like, what do I do now? I got to get out of the garage. Like, what I'm going to do? And so I just went for it about 2 years ago now. We got a shop and like really put the pedal down and started making Repbox full time. We got picked up by a couple big distributors, 3D Jake. We're on Prusa's website now.
You got a Prusa Repbox with Joe's face on the side of it.
Oh yeah, man. We sure do. And I think they're closing on selling more than us at this point, having only had it for 6 months, which isn't surprising given how many people are on Prusa's site versus ours. But we owe a lot of our success to Prusa and to a lot of other distributors and friends that we've made along the way, influencers and stuff like that. So I don't know, that's kind of a whirlwind background. And this is a second career for me. I was a web developer for 20 years before this as a freelancer.
That explains why your site looks good.
This.
Okay.
It doesn't though. That's the funny thing, man. It's just a Shopify site that I just like threw up, hastily.
Well, and we're gonna get into this, but like, what is the one broad thing that I'm going to say 3D printing company, and I'm going to say if you're under $1 million a year, you fit into this category. Your marketing probably sucks. Your website looks good. because the rest of us were like, oh, we'll just do it ourselves. And lo and behold, business degrees and engineering degrees are not normally the greatest at web development.
Oh my God, they're not. And that's the thing. I was never the best web developer either. I just made a living out of it because people were like, I don't want to shoot myself when I'm talking to you. Like,
Right?
as silly as that sounds, they're like, oh my God, you're like explaining this in a way I can understand. And so people wanted to do business with me. But yeah, I had to work hard at, and my code, I was always embarrassed. I'm like, I hope nobody like that's an actual programmer ever sees my code. Right. Cause like, they're going to be like, this guy doesn't know what he's doing, but it worked and was decently successful at it. That was a tough thing about the leap. It was like, that was good money and pretty, easy, but it didn't feel like a great lifestyle just sitting in front of the computer all day, every day, being a code monkey,
Yeah. Some people like it. And, I've got buddies that do it, and see, they don't call themselves code monkeys. They say they're code mercenaries, which definitely sounds cooler. Like that adds a little James Bond-esque to it.
It's all about branding, baby.
Yeah, it is. It is all about the branding. But, and so do we have any post-secondary education, any college degrees, or no?
Yeah. No,
Okay.
I went to a little university out here on the central coast of California called California Polytechnic University.
Mm-hmm.
I stayed for 7 years. No, I'm not a doctor.
The old Tommy boy route.
Mostly because I just wasn't ready to go out into the real world. All my friends were still there. So I got 12 units away from a master's degree in industrial manufacturing and design, and I ran out of money. I got my bachelor's. I had 3 different degrees. I was a mechanical engineer for a stint. I was a computer engineer for a stint. Finally went into the College of Business, into this field called industrial technology, which is like a very broad, overarching. You had to take a bunch of the economics classes, a lot of business classes, but then a lot of like welding package. I have a packaging minor. I have a psychology minor. I was just like, I just keep taking, like, my advice for people out there, like, that are in school, like, stay as long as you can, like, because going out into the real world, oh my God, no scholarship. I worked all through college as well. I was lucky enough that, my parents, the way it worked for me was my parents, when I was born, my grandparents gave my dad like $3,000 or something like that and said, here, invest this. And it was probably about 20 by the time I was ready to go to school. So I was lucky that, and this was all very, just mutual funds and, what my dad managed himself in Charles Schwab account or something. And they're like, here, this is yours, and make it last as long as you need, because when it's gone, that's it. Like, we're not, don't come to us for money. And that actually was a really good, that's good chunk. You can do a lot with, at least back when I was going to school, you could do a good amount with that, but it wasn't enough to get all 4 years. So I had to have a job still. So I always had a part-time job. I was doing help desk stuff. At this time, like, the dorms literally like were just wired for Ethernet the year before I got there. And so it was like, my big part of my job was like installing network cards in people's computers and getting them hooked up to the campus network. And so, that's kind of where I got a lot of my tech background.
Yeah.
And then
I
didn't
have CAC errors, right?
Oh yeah. Tons of those, man. I can't tell, I can blame hardware for a couple of the things, but yeah, no, there was a good amount of configuration issues and at the same time, imposter syndrome there as well. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I was crazy enough to figure it out. And that's, what my boss at the time, I guess, saw in me. Like,
I have talked with enough IT people to generally understand that the broad spectrum of IT just means they are better at Googling than you are. And they're better at remembering those things they Googled than you are. That is the broad spectrum of IT.
That point cannot be overstated, my friend. Like, that it doesn't matter what line of work you're in. It's all about problem solving. Yep. And we have this amazing resource. I don't know if you've heard of it, called the internet out there, that basically is like information, like every little nugget of information you could ever possibly need. And to me, it sounds like such a duh thing. I'm like, just go Google it, or whatever. At the time, it was Alta Vista or Ask Jeeves or,
Alta Vista, taking it back early.
Oh man. Oh dude, early days, Napster, I mean, we did all that. We were playing World of Warcraft until, or OG Warcraft.
I played a
until
lot
like,
of Unreal
5
Tournament,
in the morning.
man. Unreal Tournament was
God.
my jam.
Good old days, right?
Right?
So anyway.
Back when 2 cores was enough.
This is before there was like, what's another core, right? You're like.
Yeah. A Core 2 Duo? That's better than my last computer. That one only had 1 core.
So I'm going to date myself, but yeah, this was back the Pentium days,
Yeah.
like the early Pentium days and before multi-core, and just after math coprocessors were a thing and all that stuff, that all become just normal. But yeah, so I built a lot of computers in my days, did a lot of work on that. So I kind of started in the hardware help desk side. And then one day, a couple years in, my boss was like, hey, you want to take a stab at like redoing the database for our rec center? So, it was like basically card access so people could get into the gym.
Okay.
And that kind of led me down this like database administrator thing. So I was that for a while. And then it was like, hey, can you fix the website? And all of that is Googling. It's all self-taught, I can figure that out. I can find some code. View source, copy paste. I mean, I'm not ashamed to say that I stole a lot of the, stuff that I learned.
That's utilizing your resources, sir. Okay.
Sure.
That's not stealing. It's utilizing resources.
Oh man, I was like part and parcel, just copy pasting, like back in the early days of jQuery, and oh, that's a really cool thing that this website does. I want to implement that over here. Hey, it's all right here for you if you know how to look at the source.
I'm surprised you talk about math coprocessors, and I'm not seeing Dave Randolph in the comments, because you figure when you start talking about like Commodore 64s, math coprocessors, all of a sudden Dave Randolph's in the comments, be like, so who's selling?
I love what he's doing with his museum, dude. Every time he's like posting a new thing that he's got, I'm like, oh, I had one of those, or I remember that. Or like the other day, somebody posted like that little thing that used to go on the back of the TV. That this is way before your time, but it was like you hooked it up to the antenna, and it was a slider, and it was like it would go TV, computer, and it basically like you would tune the TV to channel 3, and it allowed you to hook up your Atari. I don't know. You look like you're in your late 30s, maybe.
Shit, early overshot. I'll be 32.
Well, I was trying to.
I'll be 32 next week.
See, I hate that question because I'm like, wow, man, I'm going to insult him by making him sound too young. But I'd say 30s. Okay, fine.
Yeah, I'm 31. I was born in 1990, so it's easy. I'm just 10 years older than whatever the year is. By mid-January, right? Yeah. Well, see, I grew up on a college, so it was interesting for me because when the college got T1 internet, it came through my house. Like, the main junction box for the entire college was in our house. So I had T1 internet years before it was ever.
You didn't even know what a gift it probably was, right?
Well, we had the black and amber screens, not the black and green. No, sir. We had the black and amber because I don't know. I think it was a misorder for one random one. I don't know. But, I had internet from an early age, but I also had console televisions that had the little slider on the back that you had to go and change. So
okay, good. Then. Yeah. No, I got to tell you, for like a young 30s, I don't think a lot of people in young 30s were around for a lot of that stuff. But I'll be 44 next month. So that's how old I am. And I think most of that stuff was probably on the way out by the time. Oh yeah, I got there. But my dad was kind of a holdover with his old Atari 2600. We never had a Nintendo. Had to go over to my buddy's place to play. So
I think I did grow up in like the golden age of video games. Like my first console was an SNES. I still have it. It still works, and it is not yellowed. So I still with SNES. I never went with the PS1. We actually went to a Dreamcast. Definitely the better move. So I had technology, but it was interesting in that we still kept the old stuff, because if it still works, why ever get rid of it, right?
Well, we can get into that because it is hard to fight, the desire to hoard and a lot of that. It's not about being a hoarder. It's just, for me, it's more the wastefulness, or like, oh, it still works, or there's
I don't know when I'm ever going to need
enjoyed it.
This USB 1.1 cable, but damn it, Pooch, I'm keeping it. If you are a maker and you don't have a box full of cables, you must be new to this. Hi, welcome.
I think I'm on my third box now. Like after pulling out like all these parallel ATA ribbon cables and stuff, I'm like, but I might need it. Something like when I don't even have a computer that uses ribbon cables anymore.
But
Okay,
see,
it's time.
That's good cable. You can cut that up, reuse the cable for Arduino projects. I'm just saying.
It really is. But the thing is that's the other thing. As much as I would love to say I have the time to like work on Arduino projects and stuff now, I don't, and it makes me sad a lot of times as a maker, because I got my start in my line of business as a maker too. But there, our instinct, there are infinite numbers of distractions.
Right.
I've always said like makers actually make terrible business owners typically, which a lot of people are going to be like,
kind of do.
No, because you literally have to fight every urge. If you're going to do this professionally and make money, you have to fight every urge as a maker to want to just do all the things, to say yes to doing all the things. And that is such a hard instinct to fight because we love it. Oh no. What? Oh.
Did the stream lose your audio? No, I just lost your audio. Hold on.
I need proof of life. Can you people hear me?
Okay.
It's just don't worry, it's not us, it's you.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. That's not surprising. Like I was cleaning out my filament because it's clearly changed a little bit. Pooch, I still had like honestly,
ooh.
Why shouldn't any?
Is that some 285 there? I see. Look at that.
Actually, I have like 60 kilos of 285 here because I have a TAS 6. It's above me. But like, why would I keep just this little bit of filament? Honestly, why?
Because you don't want to throw it away. It's like it's so wasteful. I don't want to fill a landfill with this stuff.
That's why I'm glad everyone's finally getting on this train of cardboard spools. Because, gosh, man.
Spools, listen, spools are the bane of my existence right now. It's like I just don't want to throw actually waste is a big problem for us because like I'm in a space where we only get like one large can and we're constantly producing all kinds of little scrap and waste from all the laser cutting we do and the printing we do and all this stuff. And the last thing I want is something like a spool. A spool is terrible. It takes up all this space and a lot of it is air because it's not, things aren't really nesting into the spool once it's empty. And I've been trying for forever to figure out like, how can I give these away, and I've used them for everything I can think. I mean, we put our labels on them. I've wrapped my Christmas lights around the wire around them, all that stuff.
I dump my inventory every Christmas.
But I mean,
Facebook Marketplace, baby. Who wants ways to store their cords? Come on down.
Yeah, but we're talking about. Go ahead.
You're probably talking about thousands of spools.
Well, it's not thousands, but it's we'll go through. I don't think we're at like 100 a month yet, but 30, 40 a month sometimes depends on how much farm work we're doing. But it's a lot and it adds up quick, and it's ridiculous because I know what filament manufacturers pay for these empty spools, and there's literally like they're brand new. It's not like we're beating on them or something.
And like shipping them to like
but they're not worth
3D or someone like that. It's so expensive.
It's not worth it, which is that is a frustrating lesson of being in business. Like that doing the right thing, as I like to say it, is generally just it's too expensive. And so it's like sometimes you're willing to take a little bit of hit in the name of, doing something good. But I've literally put stuff on them like people can have these, but you got to pay the shipping. And they're like, even with just paying the shipping, like that's not worth it. And I don't know, there needs to be a better solution for that. And I am excited that people are using more cardboard spools and stuff like that. Cause at the very least I can throw that in the recycle bin. Like I do have a good cardboard recycling resource here. I literally pack up the back of my car and on a weekly basis go throw it in the cardboard recycling. But
and that's why I like the spools that Printed Solid is doing specifically, because they just have those little metal flanges that can pop out, then the thing just breaks down into its core component pieces for easy. And like that well, and the filament colors are really great and the filament's quality, but like that was the big reason for us to make the switch. We are now running, I am not buying unless I need a very specific color from Atomic. Because like they have Starry Night and Dave doesn't have that, and honestly, it's my favorite damn color. Other than Brad's orange, I guess he might leave the company if I say that's not my favorite color. Love you, Brad. I'm completely switched over to Printed Solid. I mean the Jesse materials, and now with PETG, it kind of gets me everything that I need.
Yeah.
And we just got a couple of new shipments, and half of it were the cardboard spools. I'm like, all right, we're getting there.
So I'm really eager to see those, because I haven't gotten any of the printed solid cardboard yet, but I love it. I know that a lot of other, filament one's been doing some cardboard. A lot of obviously, Protopasta has been doing cardboard probably longer than anybody at this point.
Yep.
But and that's great and all. I think that's certainly better than where we're going. But it's I still think it's kind of wacky that we're so doing this spool thing. Like there is part of me, even though it would be completely contrary to my business, I would love to see, resin-based printers take off, or not, you know what I mean? Like the actual pellet printers.
Oh yeah. Pellet extrusion. I mean, I've got a couple of people that we've been working with. There's a company that I'm trying to mentor them, but they're in Australia, which is a little tough, right? Just from the time zones alone. I think they're called Extrudinaire. I firmly believe their company's called Extrudinaire. It's been a while since we talked. They had some technical difficulties on the launch, but it was a cheap pellet extruder, like $1,000.
Yeah.
And I look at it and say, you know what, that's actually a pretty good deal, but I don't think that. I firmly believe it'd be pretty simple to adjust a rep box to hold pellet.
Just make it a big pellet hopper.
Yeah.
I mean,
a little vibrating motor in it, right?
I think we're glancing over like a lot of obviously there's some complexities to it, but when you think about from the raw materials standpoint,
let's just ignore all the all the engineering that needs to be done, all that time, the fact that they may not get 10 million sales, and that's kind of rough for your business to go through all that. Yeah. And so,
but a sack of it seems nice, right? Like is in terms of like you don't have this wasted space, you don't have this extra stuff. I guess there'd be some baggies or something.
Just don't call it the rep sack, please.
Oh, come on. All right, we'll take that back. We'll workshop it a bit more.
Pooch's sack. That's what I want to buy.
Right. Yeah, Lars has a in the chat is saying, well, just make filament and reuse the spools. And don't think I haven't thought about that, Lars. But here's the thing. What I was saying earlier, as a maker, to like fight, there is no shortage of opportunity in this space. We're in a great industry. It's up and coming. There's just so many great ideas out there every day. It's not, I'm again glossing over a lot of the details, but I don't think it's hard to find an idea and make money in this space if you can be committed to it. But that's the kicker, that the distraction of like spinning up a whole extrusion line and the amount of space that takes, then how capital intensive it is and all that stuff, really takes away from the focus. So my number one piece of advice to anybody that's getting started is do one thing and do it well. We hear it, and go deep before you go wide, because the temptation is often to like, oh, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this. And before you know it, you're not doing any of it well. And you're just chasing your tail and you're going to burn out. Like,
yeah, I feel like every maker, kind of a prerequisite for getting into being a maker is having at least a mild amount of ADHD, right? Yeah. How many unfinished projects do we have? We will never say on camera.
All of them. Yeah.
Well, to our standard or just period? If it's to our standard, none of them. But
you just see the tip. You only ever just see the tip of the iceberg. Repkord is my project that is at least constantly working, but I've got a bajillion of other things.
Yeah. Because that's kind of how we feed the beast of needing to constantly make something. And makers, we are always looking for a problem to solve. And I think that's one of the biggest problems that we see in businesses. As a hobbyist, if you're looking for a problem to solve, that's fine. In a business, if you're not solving an already existing problem, the amount of people that might have this problem might be one.
Yeah.
And that's a tough thing, right? I'm working on a particular project. I thought it was very important to get it done before the new year. I got all my stuff in. We got really busy, and I haven't touched it since like early December. I finally got like the next iteration of it running on a printer. And this is going to be a solution to solve some resin printing issues and some FDM printing issues. One machine to do all of that. And does the industry need it? I think it does. And if the industry doesn't want it, I need like 20 of them. So I'm okay with putting all that engineering work into it because I need a bunch of them myself.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
So, but is it going to sell? I don't know. If it doesn't sell, okay.
Well, that's the beauty of this space, that we use tool sets that allow for pivots. so easily. And I focus specifically on having a product and having tools that, you know what, if Repbox sales dry up, or if a competitor comes and eats my lunch or whatever, I'm cool to pivot to the next thing. And that doesn't scare me, but don't get me wrong. It would stink to have just like my whole revenue stream dry up. I don't think that that's a threat in the same way, but
don't remind me what that feels like.
Place.
I know what that feels like.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's hard. Like I said, as makers, the temptation. So like before I got into our shop now, like my escape from the garage, first step for that was like getting space in a makerspace. And like just co-working space. So there was a makerspace downstairs, and then upstairs was like office space. And I said, okay, I can, like, the rent was a reasonable jump from, I didn't have any rent to, it was, I think, a couple $100 for just a little 10 by 10. Yeah. And then I had full use of the entire makerspace downstairs, and all the honestly, the That's networking nice. Piece was nice kind of alone, but it was also a double-edged sword, because you're dealing with people that are most of the time there for hobby stuff, not business stuff. And they're, of course, wanting to come up and talk to, what are you doing? Oh, and then of course they want to solve all your problems.
Yep.
And so not engaging in the distraction of that.
And sometimes they're really good talkers, and
they're stuck. Always really good.
And you're like, oh, Jesus, I gotta find a way out. We've just blown 2 hours, and
Don't you see me just slowly backing away from you, and you're not getting?
You volunteered for this, damn it.
A lot of them don't get those social cues in the same way too. But they're, they are my people still, and I do love them, and I kind of feel the same way, and I've always loved those spaces. I've always been a little bit frustrated by maker spaces, because it's really hard to find people that are doing it well. They try to make it this kind of oftentimes democratic place, or there's a board overseeing it, but there's a lot of crummy infighting, and so many of them fail.
You mean boards get clicky and people argue? This is not ever a thing.
It was a good space for me to be in, to learn some lessons and to make some contacts. But I will say that I am glad that I was able to back away and get to a place where I could actually like focus on growing my business, because it was not a good business incubator as much as they wanted. Like I think they were offering that as a revenue generator to keep the lights on in the place, but it really wasn't a great resource as a business.
They serve to help you launch, right? Because if you're doing something with a CNC mill and you don't have a CNC mill, you've got you now have a core problem in your business offering. You have a piece of machinery that you need, but you do not have. We've got ourselves a problem. I mean, great example for us. We do a very particular thing that requires high-end 3D scanning. It requires it. It is a absolute necessity. The guy that we were always outsourcing to, which was also the guy that was bringing me all the business, decided he wanted to just buy a boat and retire. And I'm like, well, can I buy your scanner? He said, no, I'm just going to keep it. Like, cool. I really like this industry. It makes me a lot of money. So can we work together, or am I just going to have to circumvent you? He said, I'm going on a boat. I don't really give a damn what you do. I'm like, okie dokie. And wrote a big check at the end of the year for some pretty hardcore machines. And, it is just to keep us moving, right? What people don't understand is, as a business, you will likely try to put everything into one basket. It is very normal to say, well, I've got this great industry where it's working out great for me. All my eggs are going to go in this basket. And for me in 2019, that was defense. We signed a pretty significant contract with a pretty significant defense contractor in February of 2020. And in May of that year, it was canceled. And it is never coming back. I put all of my eggs into that basket, saw a $250,000 a year take or pay contract. Okay, so it was a minimum $250,000 every year, which would have tripled our sales from the previous year. Disappear in 3 months. And it's like,
so what did you learn from that?
You never know when a global thing is going to come and ruin everything, because I've got 2 business degrees. I've got an undergraduate and a master's in business. So I have an MBA. They don't teach you to, plan for complete and total global shutdown, and now all the repercussions of that being completely and utterly dickered supply chains. And
well, we're just writing that chapter now, my friend. I
oh
mean, you're
yeah,
living it.
don't remind me. It's hilarious how we are getting so many people that need spare parts for like new cars. Like, I need this, is like we did a door handle for a 2020 Ford the other day. Like, this is a brand new car. I was like, did you go to any junkyards? Like, yes, all of them have been taken. We're not the only ones that need these. Ford cannot get the parts anymore. They are literally telling you to go to junkyards and pull them off of broken cars.
Yeah. The car, like so many industries, are just completely in upheaval, and the demand for cars, the car shortage, all that stuff, things that you would never expect there to be a shortage of. But the 3D printing in the chat is saying, well, the lessons obviously don't put all your eggs in one basket, and that is a really, really, actually, there's more to that. I mean, I know that seems like a very common surface level, piece of advice that everybody always hears. But like I was saying earlier, it's balanced. There's so much yin and yang and zen going on in business operations, because a lot of it is about taking opportunities when they present themselves. And we have, every business is different. I am completely bootstrapped. So I have certain, I have limited resources that I can, draw from and stuff like that. And so it's like, the temptation to chase the money wherever it may be is very, very high. But resisting, I mean, it's a very common, who's a Jobs quote, where he's like, it's not about what you say yes to, it's what about you say no to. Stopping your instinct to want to say yes to everything, because it, on the surface, it looks like a great idea. And I'm not faulting you at all. If you've got a $250,000 defense contract, I mean, dude, that's a great place to be as a business, especially as you're getting started.
Yeah, I don't think that was a bad basket to put all the eggs in, right?
I think that's just a kind of some bad luck.
Yeah, but the name rhymed with Lockheed Lartin. I mean, honestly, they're a multi-trillion-dollar company. If there's eggs to be putting into a basket, that's a basket to put eggs in. But sometimes the world's like, so you know how you were looking to be a successful business owner? How about you go back to school, bitch? Get back in line.
You're gonna get slapped down. And you got to get back up again, as they say. So I don't think it's a bad thing. Sometimes it's that whole thing about, we make our own luck. We're in the right place at the right time. Sometimes it's like you kind of have to gamble smart, and sometimes you lose. But if you can get back up, I mean, you went a different direction, you keep going, you take your knocks, you learn your lessons, and hopefully you move on.
Now we're kind of like in that middle stage of business. Like we're talking about the business development side of things. Let's back it up and kind of and start with, like, where do you actually start? Right? Because we talked a little bit about, having a problem to solve versus trying to find one. And, we barely touched a little bit on how Repkord started, how that rep box became a thing. So I'd love to kind of know, like, where was that impetus that caused the start of Repkord for you, and how it's kind of grown since then?
Yeah, so Repkord's actually been around since 2016. Our date of start was actually April 1st, 2016. So we are the longest running April Fool's joke out there, right? As a business, I'm sure. No, we're probably not. But
that's literally the day that my company first opened to the public too.
Are you kidding me? Like, I know it because it's on all my paperwork for, when I was founded.
We incorporated before that, but we officially opened April 1st. Literally for it to
like doors open April 1st. That's funny. Good. So that's why I knew we were kindred spirits, man. We're both April Fool's jokes. But it started, going back, I was telling you, I was in web development. I was doing really well as a freelancer, and I just had, and I don't know, like at the beginning of 2016, I was like, I'm getting so tired of this. I need something different. I'm not feeling healthy sitting in front of the computer. What's up and coming? What's something I'm kind of interested in? Like what, and I got my first 3D printer, and of course I was bit, by like, oh man, this thing is amazing and whatever. And so I started thinking about like, okay, like maybe I'll put a side hustle together. And Repkord was a side hustle literally until COVID, till 2020. I still had kind of some retainers for web work and stuff until mid 2020 that I was working on. And but originally started. I think I was a little late to the Amazon game, but I started white labeling filament. That I was sourcing from China. I actually hired like a purchasing agent in China that like went around and validated quality and made the stickers and did all that. And as a white labeling filament, I moved actually a ton of filament that first 2 years on Amazon exclusively. Like all I did was I got it, I put my brand on it, I sold it. Like
that was the place both to years, be, though, right?
It was. I learned a lot from it. Don't get me wrong. But I think the heyday of Amazon is. It depends on your business, but as a white label, there's not a lot of meat on the bone for filament to begin with. If you're not producing it, producing it.
Even so if you are, it's not as much as you would want.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't have 30% margin to give for distributors and stuff. So it was pretty much a wash. Like I think I had something like $100,000 in sales the first year, and maybe $5,000 to speak of in profit, and that I wasn't paying myself, so it wasn't even profit really. It was just like all expenses over, and then maybe it was 10 the next year, so it wasn't great. And then I started kind of creating some niche product. I had the little nozzle cleaning kit, and I started reselling like other accessories. Just brass nozzles and all that stuff. And I didn't feel like I was really going anywhere, and I wanted to make something that was unique and, my own. And so it wasn't until like, I'm trying to think, 2018. It was Earth of 2018, I believe, that Travis and I went to Maryland.
Okay.
And brought our little box that we had made for our filament. And man, if you were to see the original, I don't have one here, but it's in the office at the shop. It was so crappy looking. And I'm like, I can't, to this day, I still look at this thing and I'm like, I can't believe people buy this, from me. It's like, that's not, it's a good product. It does the thing well, but I'm constantly looking for like, it could be better. It could be better.
Oh yeah. We all do that, right? That's just natural. I firmly believe if you look back at anything you've done, it's like 6 months or further prior, and you're like, I'm not embarrassed, then you haven't grown and you're not trying. You need to be embarrassed of past you.
Yeah. Well, I'm not one to rest on my laurels either. And so I take it really, I would say personally, but it's like, being part of the maker community, you're always getting feedback, solicited or otherwise, from people. Oh, you should be doing this. You should be doing that. You should be doing this. I'm like, yep. You're right.
Unsolicited advice is the best advice though, Pooch. Come on.
It's the staple of the maker community. And try being in a maker space and avoiding that. It's like, sometimes I would just like, I want to just hide over here in the corner at the printers and like, nobody talk to me, please. Because I don't want to explain like why I did what I did. Like there's so much more depth to the product than most people realize in terms of like why the decisions to do what we do are made. And a lot of times you feel like you're kind of defending your choices. So it's like, I don't want to come across as defensive, but I'm like, no, there's a method to the madness. And you're really you don't see like there's a lot more like do it this way because it allows us to like produce them faster or package them more easily or produce it less expensively, or, whatever it is, so Repbox has actually become a very refined product, and there's still plenty of room to go. But a lot of the changes of it over the years have been to allow us to mass produce it more effectively, to control quality better, to make it faster to put together, like a lot of these just little ancillary things that don't seem to obviously add value to the person that's just looking at it at the surface. But anyway, that's kind of a jump away from your original question. So it wasn't really until I started making my own thing that I think I started to kind of come into my own as a business and get the confidence to make the leap to do it full time.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. That leap is a really tough one to make. And I will admittedly say I made it way too early. I made the leap way too early, but I said, you either kind of got to commit and do it, or you're bound to sit there and have FOMO for the rest of your life, right?
Oh man, yeah.
And that's, I think a lot of us deal with that. And now with having the machines that quite literally make FOMO Never a thing, right? I really want to do this piece and it would look really cool in a video. Screw it, I'll run it, whatever. And if maybe
Yeah.
that video never makes it off the cutting room floor, but I'm happy in the fact that we made it happen.
Yeah.
I understand.
I think you need to, I think that's important though. I think you need to feed yourself those little things just to kind of keep you feeling fresh over time, because it's really like, as sad as it sounds, it's like, it doesn't feel particularly exciting as a maker to make 10,000 of something or 100,000 of something,
boring.
Like it's boring, right? But it's like absolutely necessary to like get off the ground as a business and do like so much of what I do now is in support of the business and like managing the books and hiring people and all these things that makers just inherently hate. Like they don't, and that's why so many fail.
It's so tough.
And I always say that there's just a world of divide and difference between making one of something and making 10,000 of something. But a lot of people get their start, they're like, I built my own 3D printer. I could put the kits together. Like, this is great. And now people are going to want to buy this from me. And then they realize really quickly, like, sourcing sucks. Like coming up with the money that it takes to do this, like packaging things, shipping things is a drag. I'm like, but that's what it takes to be a business. So you have to have a tolerance for risk, and it depends there, everybody's background is different, like how old you are, what kind of financial situation you're in. I've taken that leap we talked about multiple times in my life, and I have a family and kids, and that's infinitely harder too when other humans are counting on you to eat. My kids love to eat, and
I can go a couple of nights without dinner to get a little extra cash in my pocket to buy this thing or to do this thing. I don't have kids. I don't have a wife. People know the better 3/4. We're dating. Hope to make that something more one day, but that's future. And if it does occur, yes, I'll make the ring on stream. Don't worry. I have a cat who is currently off doing important things. So we have the stunt double is here because I was tired of getting questions as to why there's an empty animal bed next to me.
I see.
Some of them started to get a little dark and I wasn't about that. So we have the stunt
Yeah.
double. My director of marketing is off doing important things. And for those that don't understand it, my cat is my director of marketing. And yes, it's on the website. And that's part of our core business is we like to have fun. And,
it's important. It's an important part of business.
Yeah. Like I can sit there, put on the 3-piece suit, look the part, speak the part and all that, but it's way more fun to go to like interview people in like a raggedy old t-shirt because they are not expecting it and you instantly catch them off guard and their responses are way more pure and real to themselves rather than where do you see yourself in 3 to 5 years? I don't even know where I'm going to see myself in 6 months. You're asking me 3 to 5 years. Alive would be good. Decent health is fine. Financially stable would be great. But honestly, I'm negotiable on that one.
What's that Mitch Hedberg quote? It's like, where do you see yourself 5 years, celebrating the 5-year anniversary of you asking me that dumb question?
Yeah.
I hate it too.
Yeah.
I think a lot of entrepreneurs hate that question because it's, but here's the thing, like the spirit of it is important. It's like, you need to have some goal that you're shooting toward, like direction. And like, we often, especially in the maker space, like there's like a million things flooding, our head on it. And to focus, to really, truly focus is so difficult sometimes because the temptation to like, want to do these things for fun, and it's all about balance. It sounds like a broken record and a cliche because it's like, I'm like you, like I don't take myself too seriously. If we're not having fun, what's the point of all of this stuff?
Right.
It keeps you sane, it keeps you healthier, like it helps cut the stress down. But I mean, mitigating stress is important.
Oh God,
like, there's so many things.
Stress will kill you faster than likely your bad eating habits that will come of working 100-hour work weeks and all that. The stress will
100%.
kill you faster.
100%.
One of the big things that we were taught in school was the business plan. And so I'm going to be straight. Do you have a business plan? Do you have like a written business plan for Repkord?
I did write one way back in the day, like when I first started.
And you never updated it, right?
Never updated it. It has nothing to do with any of what I do now.
I'm not the only one that did that. All right.
No, and I think when you're getting started, it's a good exercise.
Awesome.
But I would always advise people to just like, do an outline, like spend some time to like think on it, but don't go killing yourself over it. And that might be different if you're trying to go the venture route. Like, obviously, if you need to put a deck together and all that stuff, you're going to have to do a lot more of that work to share your vision, because you need money to implement, but if you're bootstrapping, I think it's more of a guideline. And I think it's okay. It's okay that you might be changed. It's probably a good idea to revisit. And so I don't call what I have a business plan, but I do have a good number of Google Docs that are kind of my like thoughts, long-term, longer term visions for the company. And I literally just did one a couple weeks ago on like kind of 2020. I kind of use New Year's as an impetus for me, as like, okay, what's the state of the union, this
Dude,
year?
we did this too. I told all the staff, I need every one of you to schedule a one-on-one with me. We're going to do individual, like, State of the Unions, kind of where we're at. What have we done right? What have we done wrong from your perspective? I want to know, as the owner, what have I done right? Huh?
How much staff do you have?
They're all contractors, technically. They're all 1099 contractors, but we have 12, I think, as of today.
You're working regularly with about 12 people? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, some obviously work up more than others, and being a service business, sometimes the engineers are working ragged and sometimes they're just hanging out.
But you've got a team. You've got a team. So how you go about paying them and stuff is more of a, construct of the business.
It's all, it's all cash, because it's 1099, so it's PayPal and all that.
It's cash in a dark alley at night, it's like,
no, 1099 means taxes are their problem.
Manila envelope.
yeah. I'll mail them $1 bills twice a week, right?
Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah.
We believe that paying people well is important, but I also firmly believe that you can't always do it yourself, and understanding when it is time to bring in somebody is very important. And if you say, well, I'm going to raise $1 million in investor capital, hire an entire staff of people, and, we're going to have a successful business, you are probably going to fail. Having that entire business plan and knowing what those costs are going to be, adding 20% on there for just oops kind of money, and
at least
like making sure you can even find the people, right? Right now, finding good talent is incredibly difficult, and people don't the fact that you see every business with a hiring sign on it is not because they underpay their people. Some of them is that, some of them because the businesses suck and people want to work other places. But a lot of it's just simply because people are getting paid more, or they're valuing their time more and they're able to work from home, where prior they didn't have that opportunity. And as small businesses, it's difficult for us because I can't hire people full time. I can't pay myself. My goal is to take every dime this company makes, reinvest it back in, so we can get cool stuff, whether it's better cameras for the YouTube channel, new printers. That is what business is all about. It's not, the whole South Park method of, cash out, bro down kind of thing. That's not what it's about. I mean, not anymore. It's not Silicon Valley, in the early 2000s anymore.
It's about getting the cars with the doors that go like this and like this.
Yeah, the billionaire doors, right?
No, I think that's really good to hear. And I think we're simpatico on that, because Repkord really wasn't truly profitable until last year. And like you.
You mean last year is 21 or last year is 20?
Sorry, 20, because we did. Okay. You're right, because we just finished this actually. So since 20, because that was really like the first where it's like I had a payroll, I was paying myself properly, I was doing all of that. But that's another leap. We talk about all the leaps that we make, because like you, before that, I was 1099 and everybody and all that stuff. Like the thought of having a payroll and having to deal with payroll tax and all that stuff was just so scary. And like insurance. Yeah. No, I mean, but the truth is, like, I think you have the right attitude. And if you have the ability to, like, okay, I'm going to live modestly, I'm going to reinvest as much as I can into growing this, because even when you're at 100,000, 200,000 in sales, like that's still nothing in the scheme of what you really need to be kind of getting the wheels really turning. So I think it's good to hear that you have a similar mentality. I was the same way, and I kind of cheated for a long time because it was a side hustle, right? So it's like my primary income was coming from the web development stuff, and I was lucky that I was able to tie all of that up and pivot. And I keep, telling myself that if I was able to do this in a COVID year, like I can't imagine what it's going to be like when we get back to normal. Like that's my optimistic long-term hope for everything.
Yeah. These past, so 2020, we were barely profitable. It was nowhere near, like if I took every dime the company made and paid myself, I would have paid myself less than $1 an hour. I mean, that's how low it was. 21, we did not see profit, but 21 saw the start of this YouTube channel, which for those that don't understand, YouTube, when you do it on the level that we are doing it, is incredibly expensive. It takes a ton of time, and it takes dedicated individuals. Like we have a dedicated editor, we have dedicated writers.
Yep.
That is a whole different level of a business that we didn't expect. We were literally doing YouTube as a means to answer the most common questions because everyone called me, what is 3D printing? I think literally that is episode 1 of the podcast.
It's a very, very important in this day and age. It's your brand, it's your outreach, it's your face being out there. The traditional advertising, the days of banner ads or billboards and stuff and magazine ads, like that's not a thing. And so it's good that you have that vision that like this is where the eyeballs are, this is where the people are. Now how do I make that work with my business? How do I use that to sell stuff? And it's a long tail game a lot of the time. Like I'm not a big like salesperson in the way that like I'm doing the hard sale, I'm like giving the discounts.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't use my social media channel the way that a lot of companies do, where it's just like I'm going to post my deals, I'm going to talk about a new product. It's like half the time it's just me with like goofy thoughts. Because it's that humanity, it's that
I'm the
way. Face.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think that that's important, like that you're sending that message, like this is who you're doing business with. This is who you are supporting. Like we're not content creators in the same way that like a Maker's News or a Joel or a Tom Steinlander are.
I wish I could afford to be, but yeah, no, we're not.
Yeah, but I think it's still important that people know who they're dealing with and who they're supporting and to me, I'm like, I don't need a Patreon. I don't necessarily want that pressure. But if you want to support what I do, like here's what we're doing and here's why I think it's cool. And you can come along on the journey with me if you want. And I appreciate every last one of my customers because they're a vote in like, I believe what Pooch is trying to do in, rebuilding American manufacturing to some extent and, small business, supporting small business, buying local, that kind of thing. So,
Yep.
And to answer, so Bob, I saw your note in the chat a little while back about tours for Repkord and in non-COVID times and at the HQ, and nothing would make me happier. I love it when I can show off stuff, but there's also a piece of embarrassment, like how actually underwhelming it would probably seem to people to actually like walk through and how small it is.
We are our biggest critics, aren't we, Pooch?
We are. But I would love to find a way, to enable that. I am literally like in a shop space. Like my next door neighbor is a cabinet maker. There's like auto, guys down the road. It's like the weirdest space, like, but it's a great first space for me.
Generic light industrial, right?
It's it really is. And I went there because it was like the rent was right, the location was right, but I had to do a lot of, it was very bare bones.
Mm-hmm.
And it is cold there in the winter. And like, I put a heater in, but now we're waiting on permits and who knows when that's going to happen.
You'll hang up the phone if I tell you what it is here right now. I would guess that it is colder for you in Fahrenheit than it is for me in centigrade right now.
I'm in the foot, like it gets a lot worse for a lot of other people. Like I'm not gonna get any pity points from anybody like in the Midwest. It's dealing with with cold, but it's or Bob, yeah. But I would love it. Evan, Repkord is in California. We're in the Sierra Nevada foothills, so we're like an hour south of Lake Tahoe. I wound up here in 2014, just kind of out of some family circumstances, but I'm originally from the Bay Area, like literally Silicon Valley, literally coming from that lifestyle of venture capital and, doing the Sandhill Shuffle and, making really good money doing, high-end websites for clients and stuff like that. And so this is a completely different life and experience. Like moved onto 5 acres and spent way too much time, like, working on the property, clearing out everything. And I mean, it's been good, like kind of living off grid. And now I'm at a good medium. I'm more of a neighborhood now. So I've lived a lot of life in the last 6-7 years since moving here and founding Repkord.
Now you talked about venture capital and all that. We talked about it a little bit before as well. And there was a big thing that we glossed over. It was that whole pitch deck. And I want to touch on that, because if you are a company where you say, I need capital, I need influx of capital, I'm not willing to put in my own, what is the best kind of money? It's somebody else's. Preferably one that doesn't have a personal guarantee, but somebody else's money is still the best kind of money. Getting that investment capital can be incredibly difficult. And if you are able to start your business on something smaller, say maybe you don't need $500,000 of 3D printers. Maybe you can get away with a $5,000 machine. It's not going to be perfect. You'll outsource stuff. You're not going to get the margins you want, but it proves your marketing. When you go build that, what's called a pitch deck, it is effectively exactly what it sounds like. You are pitching your company to somebody. They get this notebook of all the stuff they need to know. They're thumbing through it while they're deciding whether or not they like you as you're talking to them. Normally, it's like a resume for your business, similar to how a business plan is, but you would have things like pro forma financials. So that's estimated financials. And please, dear God, do not put estimated on your financials. Oh, we're going to be at a $10 million a year revenue in 5 years.
No, you're not.
Shut up. No, you're not. And sure, maybe you might be. But chances are you're not going to be. And every investor out there is going to see right through that cloud of farts that you just put on the table and tell you where you can send it. They listen to that every day. Like that is what they do. And you are not special. Like no. It's the thing is, like, history is always written by the winners. The stories that we always hear are not like the ones that fail. Okay. We're fed the it's glitz and glamour in the same way that Hollywood is glitz and glamour to us in the business world. I mean, if you were to see the stack of failure, and even like failure from venture capital investments, like it is grossly. What are the stats on venture capital? They're like happy if they're getting 20% of their investments back or something like that. They expect to fail. 80-20 applies. I don't know if that's the exact number. Somebody's probably going to say, wow, it's more. And that's fine. Hey, that's Cunningham's law, is it not? The thing with VC and Angel is that they are literally statistically proving to themselves that they are going to win more in terms of money than they lose. And if they can continually do that, beat the market, then they have a successful business. If they don't, then they stop doing it generally, or they do it for the philanthropy, right? I know people that are in VC and angel work. We have our own VC panel here, so we work a lot with inventors. So having a VC panel is important. We have a former shark from the Shark Tank on that panel, which one? Is kind of cool. Are you not allowed to say? No, it's Kevin Harrington. Oh, cool. Yeah, very cool. He's local, and he's a really great guy to work with. But he said, do not send people to me unless you would invest in their company. And if you're not going to invest in their company, I don't want them on my plate. He said, because you're at a point where every dollar that you spend is life or death for you. And if you don't believe that this company is going to make you enough money to retire early, then why am I going to put my money toward it either? He said, yes, which sounds like a duh, right? Yeah, I mean, right? but yeah, I think it has to be said, so no, that's solid advice. And that's kind of, if I'm stepping back, like I've actually talked to VCs, like I've gone that route, and I'm glad that I think it works for some. I think that it depends on where you are in your life, what your, tolerance for risk is, all of that stuff. And don't do it on a credit card. God, don't do it on a credit card. You don't need it. Like, there are other ways. I think that it is the glamorous thing. It's the thing that a lot of business people hear about. It's the thing that you read about a lot, but there are other mechanisms, and it really depends on what your goals are in terms of like how much control you want to have of the business,
like, do you want to be an owner operator? Do you want to have your hands in, the dough, or do you, like, not the money, but the needing of the making of the product?
It's the in versus the on, right? Working in your business versus working on it.
Yeah. And a lot of times you might think when you're starting like you do, and you find out you really don't. And you think you're a good people person. You think you might be a good CEO or a manager of people, and you're not really. And that's okay. But if you're pitching this to somebody that's investing their money, you better believe that they're going to look at all of those aspects. And a lot of it is a gamble on you as a person. So, you can put together the best pitch deck in the world and stuff like that. But if you're not, like, I think, what do they say? The first thing VCs look for is like, what kind of skin in the game are you going to have? Mm-hmm. And do I trust you? And I get pitched all day, every day from people just like you that say they're going to make 10 million in 2 years and all this stuff. And like,
I had 5 just this week. Oh, we would love to make, we would love to have you, design our product completely for free. We'll give you a percentage of the company. I'm like, okay, where's your business plan? Well, we don't have one. What about your pro formas? Well, we don't have one.
Pound sand. Come back when you got. But sometimes that's the lessons that people need to learn, and hopefully some come back and learn from it and do something. And I'm not saying everybody's path is going to be different. You know?
And now the printing, and you have a small printer farm. You're actually working on building a group of all of us that have decided that Team Orange is the farm that we're building, and the Prusa farm group. And are you doing service style work, or is this all just for things inside the rep box and that?
We do. No, we actually do offer print service. I don't advertise it because I don't need more of it right now. Mm-hmm. A lot of that is, it's a good problem to have. And a lot of the people that come my way aren't a good fit for the model that I have built and established that works with our resources and our workflow and stuff like that. I am proud to say that I've done work for people they're in the chat that are also maker entrepreneurs. I'm very honored to have been approached by them and to have supported their businesses as well. But we don't take one-offs. We don't take low. We try to target, people that are going to be doing consistent production, right. That kind of that have been doing it for a little while. I am not, unlike you, I'm not at a place right now where I'm taking on, being a portion of somebody that's trying to get a business off the ground. Which isn't to say that I wouldn't like to be at some point. Like, I would like to be able to offer services.
It's fun, but it's challenging. Yeah, it's a whole different.
But it's time consuming. And again, when you talk about the laser focus and stuff like that, it's really about like, okay, what do I have? What do we got? And what fits well within our model so that we can keep that cash flow up and we can get to the point where we can go a little bit wider. And so it's like those blinders can kind of keep going a little bit wider as you move from being an operator to more of an owner, and you get more of that money to get more of those resources to allow you that growth. But it is really hard not to want to go whoop, like, and I want to take this and I want to take this and I want to take this, because you probably are the same way. I get approached every day from
retail
people.
Pooch, I was definitely this way. Okay.
Yeah. I get approached from people every day, like, hey, I really want to do this, and I would love it if you guys would help us with our manufacturer, or can you advise me on this, or can you? And I'll admit it, I'm kind of a pleaser. I want to say yes to people. I want to help people. And so finding, and honestly, as silly as this sounds, I feel like I've learned the most from Joel as a friend. Joel's a close friend of mine. We talk a lot on really good ways to be able to say no, but still feel good about it and leave the door open and make people feel okay and not rejected. Because, I can't imagine how bad, for as much as I'm talking about people approaching me, like, think about somebody that's an influencer on the regular, people like, oh, I want to collaborate and I want to do this and I want to do that. And it's from businesses and it's from individuals and all that stuff. And he is just, it is an art form watching this man say, no, but here's what I think you should do, or you should really talk to so-and-so, or whatever. Like, he's very good at redirecting and still offering help and advice without having to take it all on his back.
And Joel can send those sponsors my way.
You're looking for it? Yeah.
Look, I try to do good sponsor segues, but they're always just to myself. Because hey, might as well self-sponsor the own videos and remind people that they can go to patreon.com/3D Musketeers if they want to go ahead and support the efforts of this channel directly, and leave a
There's
like
a
and get
plug.
subscribed while you're at it. Because if we're going to talk about CTAs, we might as well throw one in there. And a CTA is a call to action, something that is very important to have. If I go to your website and all I see is like, it's you auto-filleting your own company, I'm leaving. I want to see a call to action. How can I contact you? I'm old school. I want to pick up a phone, I want to dial a number, and I want to talk to a human. I understand if you got a bit of a call tree to keep the bots from getting through, but I am old school. I have found that we get more business because we answer the damn phone than anything else. And we get emails and all that, but there are a lot of old school people that come through that are like, you're the first one to answer the phone. I'm like, why is this so difficult? Answer your damn phones, people. Now, well, okay, locally, stop answering your phones. I'll handle that. But otherwise,
See, I'm gonna disagree with you a little bit on that, because I do make myself very available to be communicated with. But unfortunately, in this day and age, with the robocalling and all this stuff, like when I talk about maintaining that laser focus, like the phone is a really tough distraction because of its imminence. Like I need to answer the phone now. And it's disrupting whatever I am doing now.
It's true. It does do that. The phone absolutely interrupts me. Google now freaking tracks the amount of calls that you answer. And if you get under a certain amount, your website stops ranking all that well. And for what we do, where we are actively trying to bring in more business, it is important that when you search 3D printing Tampa, that we are within the first couple. Right? I'm not located specifically in greater Tampa Bay, Florida. So I have to play in the fact that my SEO can make me in the greater of Tampa Bay. So I feel that. Pricing is a big deal too. And that's actually what kind of got this entire talk happening was, and I've got the tweet here. Because I put it in, it's in the description.
Pull it up.
Wants to see the tweet, right? So
let's do it.
Let's read it. Real talk about pricing from a small business owner for a moment, if I may. Or if you have it open, I'd love to hear you.
No. I don't have it open, so you're gonna have to remind me because I say a lot of stuff along.
The cost of an item extends way beyond the cost of materials. When you say it costs X dollars to make, are you factoring in the cost of labor, insurance, rent, utilities, and at least 30 other business costs? 1 of 5. 2, if something is too expensive for you, then don't buy it. I really want to say don't effing buy it, because truth.
It's implied. The F is implied.
Companies are not obligated to charge only what you are comfortable paying. Your honor at what I'm your horror, at what I'm charging does nothing to motivate me to give you a discount. Comments as such are entitled, pure and simple. 3.
Entitlement,
entitlement. Yep. I am not the best reader. It is one of the
No, you're doing great. Keep going.
I'm trying to give that good inflection, right? I want people to feel the emotion in this.
I like it.
Consider how you would feel if someone came to your work and said you are only worth paying half as much as you charge, simply based on first glance perceptions of what you do. I understand this may come across as a bit unrelatable and ranty to those who don't produce and sell product on a regular basis, but remember, just because something isn't immediately obvious to you doesn't mean someone is trying to rip you off. Words matter. Strive to choose them better when you're communicating, and your desired outcomes will be more achievable. /rant. Bonus! Inspired by all the awesome commentary, pricing to the small business owner is already a source of much stress and consternation. We'll go with that. And often unreasonable value metric we place on ourselves. Will people like my designs enough to pay this? What if I'm missing some costs? Does that allow me enough margin to cover the low sales times? These are only a few of the torturous, questions going through our heads on the regular. Small business owners, feel free to comment with more of your own. And I just want to say thanks for coming to Pooch's TED Talk, because that is That is like real effing talk right there. I could not have said that better myself. It is so often, you're too expensive. Okay, go find someone else to do it for less. Well, I can find this guy to do it on Etsy for less. Then go buy it from them. It's gonna
go with God, my friend. Yes.
Yeah. But he's like, well, I don't want to wait 2 months. Well, then you're gonna pay more to get it done. I don't give a damn.
Is this your negotiating tactic? Because it sucks.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to get it for their price, but get it in 3 days.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
my name is not Jeff Bezos. I'm sorry.
I would like the moon.
Yeah, I would like the moon, and I don't want to send Neil Armstrong there to verify it exists. So, and I can sit here and rant all day, and I feel like I shouldn't, because this is directly attached to my company. So I don't, I feel like if the customers watch it, some of them will be like, oh, he's talking about me. Yeah, I probably am.
Yeah.
But maybe there's a reason.
About you.
Just going to put that out there. We do give discounts. The discounts we give are directly to students. So if you have a student email, I'll cut you a discount. Students don't get the rush fees that regular people get, right? If you need something in 2 days, you're paying a tax on that, right? You're going to pay extra. I
give discounts too. It's a more more bees with honey kind of thing too. Though to me, I want to this is kind of a look into my humanity as a business. Like, there's many that would argue like, well, that's not very professional to just like use Twitter as your bitching platform.
Mm-hmm.
But the truth is that like, so many people just like lose sight of like who they're dealing with. I can't tell you how many times I get an email on a daily basis almost of somebody that was like complaining about something. Maybe they're a customer, maybe they want to be a customer, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They're just coming at you guns blazing, right? Like,
yeah.
I don't know, you're just all this stuff. And then I reply to them. I'm like, oh my God, you replied to me. Like, I didn't think I was going to get. So yeah, there's a human on the other end of this email, jackass. Like, what do you think is going on here?
The people that email us. So we have a public email. It's youtube@3dmusketeers.com. It's in the description. Also info@3dmusketeers.com is another public email that we have. They're like, oh my God, you replied. I'm like, who else were you expecting to reply? If you haven't noticed,
I was talking to a bot.
Yeah, I'm the one in all the videos. The only time that people mess it up is when they're like, oh, Victoria's scheduling the meetings, right? I'm like, yep, Victoria's scheduling the meetings. You clearly have not looked at my website, because Victoria is the name of my cat. And the thing that schedules the meetings is an AI robot thingy that's programmed that does it all on its own. I just got to name it. So I named it after my cat, because that's funny. That's good branding. If I named it D'Artagnan, they're like, what the hell's this mean? D with an apostrophe, Tanyan? What? They're not gonna know it's one of the Musketeers. Man, the amount of times that people try to make their problems yours, and I get it. There are instances where, okay, I'll make it my problem, but you're gonna pay me for it, right? We had a client right before the end of the year who needed something 72 hours. It was 300 hours of printing. 300 hours of printing at regular stock Prusa speeds, right? We quoted stock Prusa speeds. We run faster than stock Prusa speeds, because I'm not an idiot. I have a business to run, damn it. I can't print at 45 millimeters a second. Can't do it. It's too damn slow.
Coward.
120 minimum.
If you're not printing at 120 millimeters a second, you're a coward.
Honestly, on a Prusa, they can handle it. So you will burn through bearings faster. So have those in stock.
Oh, but, you should hear the squeaking in the farm sometimes, man.
If it's not seized, she's still fine. I don't care if the rods are messed up. You don't see it in the prints. This client, she said, I really need to get this done. I understand it's right before the holidays. Can you do it? I said, I'll do it for you. And I sent him the quote. They instantly paid it, like right there. And he said, I appreciate you making this happen. He came out 3 days later, picked up the parts. He said, I didn't think you were going to be able to do it. He said, but
he's a business owner though, right?
This is a big business.
So, okay. And that's why a lot of companies, like, I am very picky about who I do business with, and business owners make the best customers because they get it.
They get it.
They get it.
He shook my hand and said, thank you for making my emergency yours when you had no reason other than the fact that I paid you to do this. This is how
Well,
you earn
that's a
more
big
business.
reason. But yes, no,
and
it's
I said,
true.
can I go get a recorder?
Customer.
Can you say that one more time into the microphone for me, please, sir?
I know, right? Those are the testimonials that you just really wish you know could make it out there more. But I've been in the same boat. Please? And I want to say yes, but it's like, here's the thing, like the underlying advice to that rant tweet is just like, think, you know, your tactics matter, the how you ask, like, help me get to yes.
Yep.
Okay. Like, and so many people are missing, and I think that a lot of that is the benefit of maybe something like my psychology education and stuff like that, like knowing how to deal with people. Evan in the chat brings up, it's really hard to know when to respond and not to respond to people. My advice to that is you should always respond. You should not always respond. You should not always respond right away.
Yeah.
Because it is very easy, like in anger, fuck this guy, you know, like you want to, you know, you just like, I'm going to unload on this mofo, but you should always respond. And to me, my tactic is, and it's funny because I think if anybody's ever been paying attention, like there's definitely people that I'm responding to, right? Like I look at the emails pretty quickly. Like I take it as a source of pride in my response rate. Like, you can always email me, and if you've emailed me and not gotten a reply, like, I apologize. That probably means you've gone to spam, because I do not ignore people. I do not like
spam multiple times a day for this exact reason.
And I try to be better about that, but I admittedly am not. Like a lot of times, I've got just so much stuff coming in that going through spam is not, you know, a high thing. But I want to genuinely help. Like I do offer discounts. I do work with military veterans, education. I understand that some people don't have the money, but it's like the way you come at it. And it's like, you don't come at me and be like, how dare you charge $25 for or $23 or whatever it is for a, you know, a French cleat or whatever. If you come at me and like, you know, I've really appreciate your stuff. I'm just curious, like, do you offer any educational discounts or military? Like, if you're coming at me like something like that, you know, I'll work with you. Sometimes I might say no. Like sometimes you might be asking for something that like I'm just not willing to do. But a lot of times, like I'll work with you. And but you know, you're very much in control of the situation. And that's kind of the, you know, that's kind of the message that I give people. You know, but reply, you know, show people the decency. And a lot of times, like I'll go with the kill, you know, even if somebody's coming at me guns blazing, I kill with kindness. I'll be you know what, I'm sorry you feel that way. You know, here's why we did what we did, you know, or we screwed up. I'll be the first to admit, like we botch stuff all the time, man. It's just, but that's where you win the customers for life. In fact, I almost, as weird as it sounds, it's almost like I almost look forward to the mistakes sometimes, because those interactions, you learn from it and you win the most loyalty from it, because it's not never making a problem. It's how you resolve that problem that really wins you that loyalty. Like I've had so many repeat customers that just keep coming back and coming back and coming back because we completely forgot to include a pack of screws or something on the first one. And most of the time people are like, hey, I was missing this. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Here, well, like I'm shipping it to you right now. And it's not a hard problem to solve. Nope. And I would beat the hell out of myself for it for a long time. Right? I'm like, how did I miss that?
Oh, and it's the worst when it's like a big client. You're like, oh shit. So like when this guy came and picked up all of his parts, he's like, we're missing one. I'm like, shit. I marked everything. And so I'm like hobbling back inside. Those that don't know, I can't walk well. I walk with a cane. I have a bad back. And it is sitting on the other side of the cat bed, hidden. And so the part's there. I'm like, cool. So I quickly clean off the brim, hit it with a torch, bring it out and say, I knew I printed this. He's like, okay, good. Because if I had to come back out here, that's fine. But I didn't want to. And, you know, the thing with this, he said, you know, his son really wanted to come out. He thought he saw Darth Vader in the background. Like, nope, no Darth Vader's in the background. He actually saw a heat sink on the printer. So I decided that, unrequested, of course, I would send him 2 Darth Vader prints that we did. We actually made them time lapses, and then I mailed them to him for Christmas because I knew he celebrated Christmas, and I said, give this to your son. May the force be with you. And he
Very
sent me a
cool.
text and said, dude, that was really cool. You didn't have to do that. He really appreciated the pieces. Thanks. And like that is building a relationship that is well beyond the cost of the project, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you're the same way. I tend to become very much friends with my clients. Like they're heavily involved. Like when it's a long project, we're friends. Like my
Oh, yeah.
my
You're in the
doctor
trenches
was
together.
a client.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
No, that's great. You want to make people feel like that they want to work with you, because it's very much, it is a very personal thing. And that is the hardest part about growth for me, is that inevitably you have to let more and more of that go. And Repkord, like I said, I take it very personally. Repkord is me. And you know, handing off the customer service or the quality control and all that stuff is tough, because it's like, that's my integrity on the line, you know, and no employee is ever going to care the way that you care.
It is
you hope you can find those people.
Yeah.
You hope you can find those people.
They're other business owners generally that have decided they want to go back into the workforce.
And there's people out there that are good and understand customer service. And, you know, a lot of times what you're looking for in people that can do customer service is like how they handle negativity, right? It's like, how do you handle, because people are going to come out, you're going to get yelled at, you're going to get like, and it's going to feel like a drag, right? Like, how do you not burden yourself with that? But you know, like, you need to pay those people accordingly. You need to understand that they're kind of your first line of defense a lot of the time. And it's hard when it's your money, you know, like this is a whole nother piece that it's like, I'm bootstrap. I'm 100% owner of my company. And so, you know, establishing guidelines of like when somebody else is allowed to like give away a freebie or give a discount as a result, or what, you know, whatever it is.
That's food off my plate when you do that, but I understand.
Right. But there's value in that, because I do it. Yeah. I do it too. Like, you have to make it right a lot of the times. Like I if it's our mistake, I own it and we fix it. And even if it's to the, like when we were first getting into European distribution stuff, that was so painful, man. It would cost like $130, $150 to ship some of these things to, you know, Belgium or wherever it was going. And you know, if a package like that got screwed up and we had to send another part out and it was another 50, like we made no money, we lost money on the deal. That's a tough part of getting started. Now that's a luxury. As you get better and better at it, you can absorb those things a little bit better.
It's true.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm not Costco, and I'm not Amazon. I'm not, you know, Nordstrom. You can't just like, you know, eat the hamburger, come back with a little tiny bite, and expect your full refund from me. Like, I do push back, and finding that balance and training others to what that balance of when to push back and when to help is very nuanced. It's very, you kind of have to have a gut feel about it sometimes.
It is. And, you know, I would guess that the target market of Repkord has likely changed a fair bit throughout the years, right? The rep boxes are pretty much just in the 3D printing industry, but
it's a niche product. Yeah, for sure.
It's a niche product, but you likely know the demographics of your customers. You know whether they're male, female, non-binary, you know, other, right? Listed as other.
Sure.
You know where they live. You know statistically if they're likely to buy it. You knew that working with Prusa made sense, because people with Prusa printers tend to buy rep boxes. Why? Because Prusas are not the cheapest printers on the market. If you're buying an Ender 3, you might not be looking at buying a rep box, because your Ender 3 costs about as much as a rep box.
Yeah. And you know what? And that's okay. And we should circle back to the pricing thing, because anybody that's in the business, like, I think that there's so much, we could go so deep on that.
Your effing time.
But to answer your immediate thing about like target, you're like, yes, thank you for seeing that. Like, yes, I have a target audience. Yes, I understand that this is not affordable to everybody, and that's okay. Like, you can come at me.
To be.
It's not. And it's like, yes, you can go get some, you know, a big Tupperware bin and drill some holes in it, and put some, you know, rollers inside of it, and it'll work fine, and that's okay. And if you want to start there, but some people are fine with jank, you know, like, and I mean, I am like, I'm such
Yeah.
a hack, like as a business owner, like doing more with less. And like,
That's our
seriously,
motto.
man, we have, we have like probably 10 podcasts worth of material here that we could go into on any given time on like all those little, on nuggets, because especially when you're bootstrapping, it's like figuring out how to do more with less, figuring out how to, what to take on yourself versus what hiring out and all that. But
you mean I can make an extra 10 grand a month by sleeping 3 hours a night? Done. I'll find a way.
But what good is it going to do if it kills you 2 years from now and you're not, you don't get to live to, having the nicer house or the benefits of hopefully, growing an actual business out of it.
You mean taking an actual paycheck like a real boy?
It's rewarding to get to that point. And don't get me wrong, like there's still, I guess I still got a long way to go, man. But it's exceeded my expectations. We've done a good job. But yes, to your point, there is a target market, and that's okay. And when you're first getting started, you're chasing every dollar you can, because it's like, you need it. You need that money to survive, right?
If the money is there, I don't care. That was our original business motto.
Which is not always the best business motto.
It was not a great business model, but when you were just starting and you found that the target market that you had, that you worked on, your pricing was set for them, all of a sudden they didn't understand your products, they weren't buying it. Well, shit, you got to change or you're going to die.
Well, let me break it down in a way that might be a little bit different for people to understand or to look at. So when I was first getting started as a web developer, or, and this is very common for anybody that's in a service-based profession, you're a plumber, you're trying to make a name for yourself, right? And so you inherently have to charge less. You have to say yes more. You have to eat more shit. Pardon the French, but I mean, like you literally do.
Plumbers
not
eating
literally.
Shit. I feel like that's just normal.
Maybe not literally, but you do. You have to take your knocks. And that is the cost of getting started. And that's familiar to people. You think about when you were a kid, maybe your first job was mowing lawns or whatever, and people wanted to hire you probably because you're a kid and you charge, sure, you're less than a landscaper and stuff, but you're not professional, and they're a lot more, so you start at a certain point, and then hopefully you build up a more reputation, you get more referrals, you get more people coming your way and say, you know what, it's time for me to up my prices. And sometimes you keep your prices a little bit lower for your longer standing customers that keep coming back to you
they're grandfathered in. They're grandfathered in.
They can be, but I definitely had clients that I would, slowly introduce. I'm like, okay, I have to do a cost of living this year or something like that. And anybody that's been working with you long term and stuff gets that.
Some do.
You're not gonna, some do and some don't, but if they don't, they're not the right customer for you. So so it is true that it's okay to fire some customers.
It is very true. Fire 20% of your customers that take up 80% of your time every single year. It's gonna
you gotta do it.
You gotta do it, because you're gonna go to sleep on the 31st freaking out. You're gonna wake up on the 1st of January, hopefully not hungover. You're going to feel a little bit better about yourself. You're going to get files that are going to be good. You're going to get prints that are done. And all you got to do is click slice, click print, and walk your happy ass away while your machines make money for you. That's ideal.
And that's the reward of a job well done and paying your dues and getting to that point, right? I always say it's frustrating as a growing business that by the time that you get to the point where you get your best prices from your vendors and your highest, abilities to charge and stuff, like you don't need it as much.
Right.
It's kind of backwards. You're like, I really want, to only have to pay, the $3 a spool for this right now, but you don't get that until you get to that level of volume where you're selling, where they can like take that margin discount. And so it feels backwards. And that's where I think a lot of the mentality of the rich get richer come from. But what you're missing is like, you're in the grind for years until you start to get just a glimpse of some of that stuff. Yeah. And so pricing a product works very similarly in that you're probably going to start before you have a reputation, before your product has a reputation out there. You're going to have to eat a little shit. You're going to have to start a little lower. You're going to have to, take a little bit less margin. You have to pay yourself less. Like all of those things are exactly the same. And coming up with what that number is, is capitalism at its finest. It's, what will the market bear?
Yep.
And you don't know that a lot of the time. You don't know when you're getting started, like, what is the market going to make? Like I said, when I first started with Travis, I'm like, there is no way anybody would ever pay more than $100 for a rep box.
Right.
No way. Hand to God. And I was incredibly wrong. And it's not because I'm like, oh, I can get people to pay me. I mean, it kind of is, but it's not, there's more to it than that.
Mm-hmm.
But my perception was like, I'm thinking about a different market at this time. Like we were looking at the people with the enders and the consumer and all that stuff. I'm like, absolutely, a person with an ender is not going to want to pay more than $100 for a rep box, but
right.
Are they my target market? Should they be my target market? So when I was trying to get a foothold, everybody was my target. I need people to believe in this. I think I need to find people that find value in this, that are willing to post pictures of it on social media, get it out there, have people go, what is that? What is that? Like, what do you have there? And I want that too. And over time, that has allowed us the money to refine the product. So part of the increase of the cost over time is because the product is literally better.
Yep.
We use better materials
is constant.
and stuff. Yeah, we've had to, you're not paying me for this one. You're paying me for the 1,000 I had to make before this one.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, and so you have to, but you don't think to price those things in when you're first getting started. You're in that materials mindset. You're in time and what is it going to cost me to make this?
Yep.
But I was also working out of my garage. I didn't have to pay rent. I didn't have the same insurance.
My
costs
time's not valuable. Why should I charge for it?
No. Yeah. And that's exactly right. I wasn't relying on that to pay my bills, to feed my kids, all that stuff.
Remember, you're a maker. And even if you were to go get a job flipping burgers in, quite a few states are bringing up a $15 an hour minimum wage. Okay.
You get 18 an hour starting at Chick-fil-A down the road from here.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I'm in California, but I'm like,
where
that
a cardboard
sucks as a
box
business
costs you
$200,000
a year. Okay.
Don't get me started. Okay, go ahead.
I call it $15 an hour. And you know what? If you're feeling a little frisky, go to 10 because it makes the math easy, right? How much effort are you going to put into making this part? And that is not just the printing. That is setting up the slicer, knowing what it takes, right? Prusa is very much easy mode for 3D printing. Quite literally, you can use their stock settings, click print, make sure
Easy
that
button.
first layer sticks, and Ronpo peel that bastard, set it and forget it. And I know that we all preach, don't leave your printers unattended. Pooch, how many printers you got running right now?
Surprisingly 0 at the moment. Here,
no,
there's stuff running at the shop.
Exactly.
Probably about a dozen.
Yeah. Okay.
We actually do. We have some automation set up and stuff like that too. So, but
and that's fair, right? But when you're first starting out, you have to value that time. We value our machine time like it's really, really bad labor practices. So we look at prints as a $1 per hour or a certain dollar value per hour. I am not going to give away my pricing strategy. Y'all can send me prints and try to figure it out. You're welcome to try. I don't care. But don't waste
your
my
IP,
time
baby.
with
Hold
BS.
it tight. Hold it tight.
Look, if you're going to send me parts, at least try to buy them. And for God's sakes, post some damn photos on social media and tag us. Some testimonials go a long way to making a small business better. But pricing is important.
Exposure.
Yes, exposure. Thank you. Pricing is important because if you don't value your time and you're like, well, this guy's doing it for $3 on Etsy. Yeah, it's going to cost you $2.50 of raw material to make it. They're doing it for $3 because they don't live in the United States and the exchange rate is incredibly useful to them and is worth a lot more. If you are in the United States, you need to be making a livable wage. And if you're not going to make a livable wage, then you're not doing it as a business. Period. Yeah. It is a hobby. Yeah. And if all you want is to buy some natty lights and go do, shots with the boys.
Oh, now we're talking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go on.
Then go do that. But don't call that a business. It's a hobby. Right? When you're looking at, all right, how can I leverage every dollar that I'm bringing in the door to get more machines, more technology, diversification of machines? We don't have just Prusas. Unfortunately, And I would love to have SL1Ss, but I will not pay for them. They are too expensive. They're beautiful resin printers, but I bought 7.
You're just emailing Joe on a daily basis. How dare you charge $1,300?
No, but you know
printer?
what? They're like $2,500, but they're absolutely worth it. If you are a small business and you have that kind of money to spend and you don't have experience resin printing, buy a Prusa. If you have experience or you're willing to put the time in like I was, I bought 7 Elegoo Marses. And so I was able to have 7
I have a Saturn.
colors. Huh?
Yeah. I have a Saturn. It's good. It's good.
2 Saturns, a Photon Mono X, and 9 Marses. Yeah.
I don't do a lot of resin, so yeah. But anyway, go ahead.
Mad Monkey says, beers with Pooch, new Friday night stream. Hell yeah, I'm down for beers with Pooch. But
I don't want to step on Matt's stream, but yeah.
Well, okay, Thursday night. Thirsty Thursday, right?
Oh my gosh.
Thirsty Thursday with Pooch. And once a month it's just we read weird Twitter comments, right?
I don't know if the Pooch can handle it. Oh, yeah, for sure.
But
the gold mine of material.
Don't play this imposter syndrome game. Is my book handy for it? I have a book all about imposter syndrome, and of course I lost it. Go figure. That's a great
You're published? Oh, it's not your book. You're not in.
God, no. I can see it. I can't reach it. I can see the book. It's on a shelf.
Well, I'm glad you read. And I think that you'll find with people that are into entrepreneurship and stuff like that, that it is important to learn from others, to educate yourself. I love audiobooks, and I do read when I can, but obviously audiobooks afford me the luxury of being able to listen in the car and while I'm doing other things. And so I have
those that want to read it,
a lot of stuff I love in there. Yeah. What is it?
It's called If I'm So Successful, Why Do I Feel Like a Fake? And my shelves are made of wire, so they're all wire rack shelving. So I'm like trying to move it so I can see who it's by. Looks like Joan C. Harvey, PhD, with Cynthia Katz, Katz. That book was great. It helped me understand the imposter syndrome, but it did not fix the problem at all. But
you're aware of it. That's the first step.
Evan Weinstein says, "Where's the Patreon tier for Pooch reads mean tweets / support emails?" God, I should make that a Patreon level. I would friggin' do that. But yeah, the imposter syndrome is such a problem in this industry. All of us, because we look at someone like I look at you. I'm like, dude, he is so successful in what he's doing. He's paying himself. You're paying yourself. Shut up, Pooch. I haven't paid myself yet. All right.
It took me 4 years, dude. It took me 4 years.
I'm on year 6. All
That's
right.
a long time.
We started our business at the same time. But I get it. I totally get it. It is tough to sit there and say, well, these people are doing so good. Why aren't I? Well, what decisions have you made differently, right? Are you working with a cabinet manufacturer to make boxes for filament? Well, no, that's not my industry. Well, that's part of why Pooch is successful. Are you working with, certain businesses that do big volume? Not anymore. They went to injection molding. Well, that's, Pooch has that market. So it's not about comparing yourself to others. It's about looking at what you're doing right. What am I doing right?
Yeah.
Locally,
well said.
I have the best damn customer service, period. I take care of you where other companies won't. And if you say, well, you're too expensive, I say, all right, here's a list of our competitors. I have that email ready. Here's a list of our competitors. Here are their contact information. Go ahead. By all means, give it a shot. We'll see you soon.
Yeah. No, and that's, oh my God, if I could tell you how many times when I was in my web development world that people would approach me for stuff and then say, oh, you know what, you're a little bit too expensive. And then they would go off and they would, find somebody on Fiverr or Odesk or whatever the equivalent was at the time. And they would completely F it up. And then they would come back to me and be like, can you make this mess work? And I'm like, well, I can, but now it's going to cost you even more because I'm having to wade through somebody else's code and all this other stuff too. So probably should have come to me in the first place.
There's a term that we use. What do you call it?
Opportunity for improvement. No, what do you tell me what you call it?
Asshole tax.
I mean, yeah. I don't like to look at it that way. It's like, it's a legitimate thing too. It's like, well, yeah, I could try to make that work, but it's probably going to be easier if I scrap and start from fresh. Cause I don't know, like when you're dealing with other people's code, like it takes a long time to wade through and figure out what the hell they were trying to do. There's a million different ways to get to the same result. And if you want to pay me, and when at the pinnacle of what I was doing, I was time and materials, man. I don't quote stuff. Like I'm not doing a flat thing, because there are way too many opportunities for just, people miscommunication
want flat rate
and
so bad. And I really want to give it, but you can't do it. The answer is always, it depends. How much is it going to cost? Well, it depends.
That's why I love print service stuff. It's very clear. Like, this is our price per unit. If you achieve this volume, like, I can bring the price per unit down a little bit, because we have some efficiencies that we can draw from. But, you really need to spend some time thinking about who you ultimately want your customer to be. You're gonna slide on that a little as you're getting started, but that's okay. Like, same, looking at Repbox, like Repbox was $99 to begin with. We realized, like, actually we're not making any money when it's priced that way based on all of our costs. And so I had to get creative about how I could inject, the proper pricing in there without like shocking my customer base of the space and stuff like that. And I think I don't want to pat myself on the back, but I think we took a clever approach that worked for that. So
celebrate your wins. See, but it's like, that's literally in the book. Celebrate your wins. If you did a good job, celebrate your wins. And we don't do that nearly enough. And that's the one thing I hate about having a remote team. It's very difficult to celebrate the wins. And of course, in the current world that we live in, I can't say, hey, everyone come over, let's have a party. I wouldn't do that now anyways. But it's like, hey, everyone, let's hop into the company Discord and hang out and play video games for an hour. And just like, everyone come and hang out. We had a good week. Let's hang out. It's not the same. And, celebrating those wins, but learning from the failures is even more important, right?
Amen.
If you don't learn from those failures, you're bound to repeat them. And if we end up dealing with, oh, my product is for everybody, it solves this problem, you have not done your market research. Pricing your product is so important, but if you don't do the proper market research to begin with, it's Metallica. Nothing else matters.
I love all the musical references. Yes.
In my entire life.
And if you're lucky, it's not For Whom the Bell Tolls. Yeah.
Oh, that's true. No, I love to make musical references because I'm a big Motown fan, and I can generally get them past my editor without him understanding that it was a musical reference. It just makes me happy to be like, so you missed this one, and you missed that one. You missed that one. Stevie Wonder's normally a good one, because I like to say, look, this is so clear Stevie Wonder can see it. Let's move forward, all right?
I see what you did there.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Stevie Wonder's blind, or was blind. But yeah, I don't understand when people come to us and say, well, this product is for everybody. We had a gentleman that came to us that had a product for the fishing industry. And he said, well, everyone wants to buy this. It was a telescopic camera. It was a camera on a telescopic pole. Patented. I'm
super into fishing. You're super into fishing. Of course, everybody wants it.
I love fishing. Well, okay, I do live in a port area. If someone wants to go take me out deep sea fishing on their boat with their gas, I'll go fishing. I love that. But not when it's my money. I love other people.
Other people's boats, man. That's always the way.
Other people's boats, other people's race cars, other people's private planes, other people's money, other people's everything, man. That's where I'm at.
Just not other people's code. I'm not down with OPC.
I'm not down with other people's code. Oh yeah, that's
And I don't expect them to be down with mine either. So that's fair. It goes both ways. But your point is well taken. And when you're pricing it, you got to be real. You got to do the market research. Yeah, there's all that. And then some of it's just kind of going to be a little bit of a shot, some of it's a little bit of a gut feel sometimes, I just took a psychological barrier of $100 thinking like, oh, $99.99. That's something that's just,
that's feels where I'm at with one of my products too.
Feels okay. And then, you know what, that's a fine place to start. But, we were able to evolve the product and get to a point and find the customer base that we wanted, like you said, and that's okay. So don't feel like you're locked in. It is harder to set a price and then, increase it rapidly. But we, in this particular space, have the advantage of something called continual improvement. And so you can very much make the commentary that people will say that Repbox 2 is nothing like Repbox 1 was. And so this is a different, right. And so you want to increase the price, release a new revision and highlight why it's worth that. And that's fine.
I remember when you put out the B stock rep boxes and I saw it a little bit too late and I missed it. I'm like, damn it. Cause like,
people love that B stock, man.
Oh yeah.
You're selling a customer, but it's a B stock product. So
look, man, I'm a B stock. I got 2 herniated discs. I am B stock. All right. I have a mirror image identical twin. He's the A stock. I'm the B stock. Okay. I got the messed up back, but like literally this is, I'm giving away.
He's the Schwarzenegger to your DeVito. Is that what you're saying?
I guess so.
Old twins. You never saw that movie? Okay. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry.
That's all right. That's all right.
I have consistently lived under a media rock most of my life. I don't go to the movies.
It's a terrible movie. Don't worry about it.
Amber and I have dated for probably 5-ish years at this point. We never actually counted. And I think we've been to the movies like twice. we don't go to movies. But this is a future video for those that are actually watching that do love the channel. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe because I'm going to throw a CTA in there.
Smash that subscribe. Come on.
Well, hit it like it owes you money. We're going to enclose this entire shelf.
Oh, okay, good.
So once my back is fixed, this is going to be
I'm here for it.
So
I want to see what you do.
These are IKEA Veskins. There's a video coming out for best filament storage under $10, and that's what these are. 96 spools right here, by the way. 96 spools. Definitely didn't count enough. I had way more than 96 spools, but that I left out of the video. But we're going to enclose the entire shelf here and dehydrate the entire thing.
Do it. Just suck that moisture out of there, man. Get rid of it.
I've proven that we can do it. I did it on a small scale, and I used a window. A window from a house, but on its side. So it was a sliding glass door basically to grab spools, and hooked it up to a home-based film dehydrator system, dehumidifier. We were getting sub 10% ambient humidity.
That's great. That's great.
My office did get well above 100 degrees in an air-conditioned building in Florida.
Let me tell you, there is no better way to dehydrate a room than run a ton of 3D printers in there. Honestly, like, dude, we don't have to do anything. Yeah. Oh, we don't pay. Yeah, that
you don't
room
pay to heat,
heats itself. Not well. Our print room is really well insulated, and so like in the winter, like we have to open the doors to like let exit. Depends on what we're printing. Sometimes we want to retain that heat, but we don't have to do really any active dehumidification because it gets so dry from all that heat that's being cranked off. And that's only when the Prusa farm's running. Never mind like my literal wall of CR30s on the opposing wall. Like that thing really cranks heat. So we're actually adding more ventilation now so we can better, kind of control everything.
That belt printing is I'm going to be getting into it soon. I want to get a CR30. That's kind of on my shopping list, if you will, for the channel. Because I want to do a fully 3D printed RC airplane, but in 2 pieces.
Ooh, that sounds cool. Well, yeah. I know a guy when you're ready, so let me know.
I'll let you know. But we had a whole list of questions. Of course, we're ignoring it because we were on a move. But I think this is a good question to ask. What do you think is the number one mistake that someone could make when they're starting their own business?
Number one mistake that somebody can make when they're starting their own business,
maker or otherwise. I feel like the answer is going to be pretty much the same for any business.
Yeah, I'm going to go with and I like I said, I'm a huge fan. I think it's because it's such a personal initiative for me right now, but it goes back to what I was talking about earlier. It's maintaining the focus and looking at where you're trying to be. You might not end up there. You might go a different route.
Yeah.
But finding a way to really hone in on what it is that you're trying to do and not try to do everything. It's especially important for a maker. I'll say it again. fight that urge as your maker instinct to want to like make all the cool things and do all the cool things. Like, this is not your hobby. Okay.
Nope.
This is like how if you're really serious about it being a business, like, this is how you're going to be putting money in your bank account, food on your table. Okay. Yep. And you have to put the ego aside and the desire to just like, I want it to be fun all the time. Like, it is work. So head down, focus, and appreciate the fact that you're going to have to do a bunch of stuff that isn't fun if you want the business to grow.
Taxes.
I hate doing the books, but I do it because I have to.
I pay someone. No.
And success. Well, I was going to say, and success for me is that metric of like, when I can finally afford to hand it off to somebody else. But when you're getting started, like I said, I'm a maker, so I'm a hack. I'm lucky. I'm lucky I can do my own construction work, my own electrical work, my own like all this stuff. I've saved so much money, like building a lot of things myself, like in our shop and getting it going. But now that my time becomes more valuable and that I need to maintain focus on keeping that money coming in, I'm not stepping over that dollar to grab a penny. I am identifying, that which is worth it. And you have to be able to figure out for yourself, like, what that value is. Like, but value yourself. Like, do not make the mistake of not taking your time and energy into account. Like,
you say
operate the way that you want to be, not the way you are.
We say that, we could sit here and say that, but we both know we did it when we started.
Oh yeah, 100%.
You're going to devalue yourself because you need the work. But rein it back in, and value yourself appropriately, and be the business. Like, think about operating as the business you want to be, not what you have to be right now. And that is really hard. Sometimes that takes writing down some notes and doing all these things that feel boring and you don't want to do. But like, that is what you need to do. Yep. Yeah, I knew from day one that I had to have an accountant, so I've been paying for that since day one. I barely slid through accounting in college. It was rough. And I said, you know what? If there's one thing I know not to mess with in the United States, it is 3-letter organizations, and the IRS is the worst one to mess with. Don't mess with them. Pay someone to do your accounting. It's worth it. And I have never looked back. It is the ease. I don't worry about the books. Somebody else handles it. They do bookkeeping. They do taxes, all of that. If you are not confident in your books, try out QuickBooks, try out Mint. There are some other ones out there. Not affiliated with any of them, although if they'd like to sponsor us, hit me up.
Hashtag not sponsored.
Yeah. Not sponsored, but we should be.
I took a slightly different approach on that, but I think that's partly in my mentality of like, I like to know enough about everything to be dangerous and to understand the mechanics of it. I feel like that makes me a better leader and a founder, in that I know I don't want to ever put the entire some aspect of my business on somebody else's shoulders where I become dependent on them. Like, everyone has to be expendable, including myself. Okay. And that's a really and that's a little bit more of an advanced problem. Like, you need to get yourself there before you should really worry about that. But the truth is, like, I don't want to give somebody the opportunity to make themselves indispensable. I don't want to become so reliant on my bookkeeper or whatever. Like, I need to know what the state of the business is. And that's not to say that you can't have a bookkeeper and still have a monthly, check-in and like, okay, here's what the P&L looks like. That's a profit and loss sheet for people that aren't familiar, balance sheet, all that stuff. Like, I want to know that stuff, but ultimately I know I don't want to do it. And it's the same with a lot of these things. Like, as I mature in the business, I need to move. And one of the best things I read was you need to think about running, if you're going to be a CEO, I know we throw that term around lightly, but your job is not to put out fires, it's to build fire stations. Like, and there's so much truth to that. It's such a great metaphor because, but it's a luxury you don't get to. And I'm still not, fully there. I still am way too in the business, but you need to take your mind away from being that operator to more that owner mentality, so that you can grow the way you need to. You can pay the people the way that you need to, so you can get to a point where you can start paying your employees like healthcare, making it more appealing coming to work for you, and then having them compete with Chick-fil-A down the street. Like, I hate that. I hate that.
When they're like, I could make more money working at Chick-fil-A. All right, go do it.
Yeah, that's
When
not going to look nearly as good on your resume, but go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. When you get tired of it and realize that everybody in the world kind of sucks, hit me up. I know.
Yeah.
For me, the number one mistake is getting into business with the wrong people. Your friends are probably really shitty business partners.
Oh, that's a really good one, man.
Because that's like
we could do a whole segment on partnerships. I pin that because there's a lot. I got a lot of stuff there too. But you're 100% right on that. Like finding the right people. And the temptation when you have nothing, when you have no money and you're getting started, you're like, well, I need a partner. I need more people. And that just makes it so much harder when you're trying to deal with different people's opinions and all that stuff. Yeah. I'm kind of an advocate for being a lone wolf operator these days, but it's not a luxury that a lot of people can afford either. So I understand. There is a lot of advantages. There's a lot of advantages if you can find somebody that's truly simpatico with you, that's truly in, you can work with. That's good. But I mean, that's a tough thing. And you're absolutely right that your friends are probably crummy. I mean, most people are probably crummy business owners. That's why a lot of people aren't small business owners, and that's
probably
okay.
A crummy business owner, but I'm freaking trying. Damn it!
You're still here.
Yeah. You know how they say that 80% of small businesses fail in their first 5 years?
They do say that. They do say that.
And year 4 and year 5 was not just hard mode. That's legendary. Right? That was literally legendary mode, where any little thing that went wrong, you were bleeding, and you were bleeding out. Business is completely different from friendship. And I started a business, and at least in Florida, with an LLC, if you have a single member LLC, you do not have the protection of the corporate veil. Okay, okay. Maybe it's a national thing. I don't know. But I know at least here in Florida, and I guess in California, single member LLCs do not have the protection that you think. So even if you bring on someone as a 5% silent partner, maybe they do tech. Maybe they're setting up your internet or something, or they help you build computers, something very, very minor. They have no voting rights. That maintains the corporate veil. And that is incredibly important, because if for some reason you screw up and you get sued, you can bankrupt the company and walk away if it's an LLC.
Yeah.
If it is as a sole proprietorship,
a properly run
asset,
LLC, yes.
Yeah, properly run LLC. You must maintain all the things, which we do. So, go to hell. But,
I'm an LLC too. So I don't generally advertise this, but like I am a partnership, and for the same reasons you mentioned. So LLC is a limited liability corporation. For anybody that doesn't know what that is, it's a business structure, and you may get into this if you ever get into business. Like there are S corporations, there's C corporations, there's proprietors, there's there's a lot of different structures there's all kinds of different reasons that one might be more advantageous over another and stuff like that. But an LLC is a very common structure for people getting started here, because it affords you a little degree of insulation between your personal assets and your business assets. And so I have a silent partner, less than 1%, no voting rights, exactly like what you're talking about.
Yep.
And we meet once a year and we talk about stuff. But just for that exact purpose.
Yeah.
And it's somebody I trust and that's close to me, and that just, trusts me to do whatever I need to do. And it doesn't matter. They actually have the benefit of like, they take none of the loss and only the gain, as the, trade-off for being that person.
Isn't that fun?
Wouldn't you love to be that person? Right.
See,
but it's a very small stake. Yeah.
My business partner loves when we have losses, because he takes those too. He doesn't pay them back. He just takes the write-off on his taxes.
Yeah.
He loves that.
They get a Schedule K, and they have all that. So it's like they're and the tax component is like, you talk about the 3-letter entity. Oh my God.
If any of this scares you, pay an accountant. Don't try to do it yourself unless you are confident you're going to get it right.
I've done my own taxes for 30 years, and I kind of geek out on it, because you realize really quick like the advantages that you really have as a business in terms of like the things that you can actually like write. We talk about writing off stuff and everybody's like, oh, you get to write that off, you get to write that. It's not free money though.
No,
like writing things off does not mean that the government is paying for all your things.
No,
it just means that it can lighten your tax burden. But if you're making money and stuff like that, you're still going to pay taxes. You're still going to deal with that stuff. But I like to know what's going on. Now that said, I've finally gotten to a point where it's like I have a bookkeeper and I'm very excited about offloading that component on it. And a lot of, professionals know more tips and tricks and stuff. And so as you're making more money, it becomes more important to like understand how to hold on to more of it and how to make some moves and how to buy things and not spend cash and, work on the float and all kinds of different things that will help you grow, your business better. But that's a couple chapters in and of themselves.
No friggin' doubt there.
Books, novels.
I've always wanted to have an accountant come on and talk about it, but I guess there's a very thin ethical line. Over. Well, no, it's not. I bet we could actually get a fair bit of people to come out for a talk with an accountant all about taxes and how to do it for a business. But accountants can only. It's like for World Mental Health Day, I was really trying to get a psychologist come out and talk about what it is like to start your own business. And if you've ever had to make that thought of eating a bullet is cheaper than continuing this. A lot of small business owners go through this. And
oh man,
I firmly believe, they say that what are the three things every business owner should have? It's an attorney, an accountant, and there's something else. Or I say the third's the therapist. I firmly believe that every small business owner needs a therapist. I believe everyone should be talking to professional help. I am pro mental health all day.
But I can see that. That sounds right to me. Sure.
It is one of the most stressful things. And if you think you're going to walk in there, big swinging schlong, thinking you're going to own the world, you're going to have a bad time. This will be one of the most stressful and potentially one of the most rewarding experiences of your entire life. And you're going to look back at this and say, well, we did it right, or boy, did we ever F that up.
And who knows, like the direction you like, it just every year, every month, like just new opportunities come in that kind of steer things. And so it's like the idea of Repkord is just like this kind of weird amalgam as it evolves and stuff over time. But I have a better vision now than I ever did before of what's been working and what contacts I have and to leverage and plays to make and things that are going to work well that we've done in the past. And so that's the benefit of kind of getting to this point. But by no means do I feel like I'm on easy street. And you talk about the lawyer, like it's like you're only like one major lawsuit away for the whole house of cards coming tumbling down, and especially in the world's most litigious environment that we live in. And so a lot of my business decisions, I get asked all the time, like, when are you going to put an active heating system inside of the rep box and all this stuff? And like, don't think that I haven't tried every dang thing to suck humidity straight out of there and stuff, but it's not. Talk. It is not because I am not aware or haven't tried. It's do I want to take on that additional liability? Is it necessary? I'm going through a fantastic.
What if it ain't at A8's your house?
Yeah. And I hate that fear becomes part of the equation, but it is part of the sensibility around it. Like, I'm going through a really great exploration and understanding of like actually what humidity is and how it affects filament. And like, I really kind of like geek out on this stuff. And there are so many
not as bad as people make it out to be.
As what everybody thinks, like, right? Yeah. Like you first get into 3D printing and they're like, the minute I open this up, it's just
dry your filament. Oh, it's shrinking. Dry your filament. How about you work on your retraction settings first?
Yeah, there's a million different variables, as you well know, that go into 3D printing. And we're very quick noobs are very quick as they get into like to blame the filament, right? But it's not I always say it's not the filament, bro. You're like it's
blame
it's
the
like,
shitty printer settings that you decided to change.
It's PEBCAC, man. It's PEBCAC. Problem exists between keyboard and chair, right?
Yeah.
So So there's
Dude, I could not agree more. It's literally why we started Print and Fail Friday. I'm actually looking to rebrand it because what we're finding is that people are going to it for failures. They're not going to it for help. And so they see Print Fail Friday as the name, and they look at it and they're like, oh, okay, I just want to see other people's failures. But the people that are going and looking for the help aren't finding it. But Print Fail Friday just really rolls off the tongue.
What does that say about human nature? Just like to want to watch a train wreck. You're like, I just want to see the failure. I want to see the destruction.
Doesn't what is it? World Star exists for a reason. I mean, isn't that what MTV is basically that entire thing? Jersey Shore was that entire thing. Now they're getting another season. They're making money for train wrecks of lives. Pooch, what are we doing? Why don't we just start?
I'm happy. I don't want to be a reality. Screw that, man.
I've been on enough reality television. It is a ton of fun, but there's a lot of work in it too. That's a talk for another day. But what motivates you, right? I think that's the big thing. And it's not, yes, okay, we all want the billionaire doors on the car, right? And maybe I'll just 3D print them for my 20-year-old Honda. But what motivates you to keep growing your business?
It really depends on the day how I would answer that. It feels like I'm like, yes, certainly. Like, I don't think I don't know. I mean, like, sure, everybody talks about like I'd like to have the money. It's like no, I don't want the money as much as I just want the stability. Chasing out, and which is funny because it's like I had plenty of stability, and I kind of threw myself back into the fire for a period of time because I wanted that new challenge and stuff. But to me, like I'm kind of work backwards from like the question of like, well, what does retirement look like? Well, retirement is just getting to do what I want when I want to do it. More, right?
Yeah,
and so certainly getting to that point, to me, I look at the business as my greatest make to date in the sense that, well, yeah, some of that's ego, but it's legacy, but it's also tangible in the sense that I was in the service-based company for 20 years and that made great money and stuff, but I had this realization that if I want to make more money at it, I have to increase my rates, I have to start subcontracting out all that stuff, and that at the end of the day, like that business was 100% me. Like, you want to talk about hit by a bus problem, like if I'm gone, like the company did not continue at least at the state it was. Like, maybe I could have become an agency and had other people and other ownership and stuff like that, but that stuff didn't really interest me because you learn really quick that like working with other coders and people that really get it in that space, like those are even fewer and far between.
Yeah,
and
don't
so
remind me, charismatic
having
engineers are hard to find.
So having something tangible that was like the business itself becomes an asset that, like, when I get tired of this, like hopefully it gets to a point where I can sell it to somebody else or it gets absorbed, and that's that. Like I feel like I'm building my nest egg more with this. Like there's something more tangible. I have assets under management. I have things that are significant values to the business that didn't exist in that other thing. But it is a whole nother ball of wax, like when you're taking inventory and a product based thing, like, and it's more capital intensive and all kinds of other challenges that go along with that. So
it's true,
but yeah, I don't know if it's legacy, it's it's a little bit of everything. It's pride of saying I built this. It's being able to have something that maybe my kids could take over someday if they wanted to.
That's part of that business thing when you start is, is this like a business that you're intending to sell? Do you want to just do this for the rest of your life? Like, that's an important thing to think about too. Something that we didn't cover. That's another talk for another day too.
I could never, like, to me, it's not being a failure is I guess the first thing. Like, and to me, that means not having to go back to work for somebody else. So independence is such a motivator for me. Like, to be able to make my own schedule, to not have to ask permission to go to the dentist or whatever, comes with, like, I am my boss. I don't have a boss over, but it's also buck stops here, so it's a two-way street.
Yep.
But I value my independence and my ability to control my destiny, just like most entrepreneurs probably do, more than the paycheck. And I'm willing to eat ramen and pay my dues so that I can continue to do that, and hopefully I can get to a place where that gets just better and better. And honestly, there's an altruistic approach too. Like I
Sure.
really love working with other people in the community. I want people to be successful. Like I love having these conversations because there are so many other people with great ideas out there that I would love to help motivate
Yep.
in some way and maybe work with at some point. And
There's nothing more fun than making
employ.
cool shit. There's nothing more fun. And then like seeing the look on their faces when they get the parts that they've been that we've been working back and forth for months. Oh my God. It makes
Yeah.
all the late nights, early mornings, the pain, the blood, sweat, tears, whatever, ratio that's all in is debatable, but makes it all worth
Well, turn it back on you. So is that what motivates you? What's your
I mean,
major malfunction?
Yeah. I guess it's a little bit different for me. I have an identical twin, so I have a genetic identical. He's not here, although whenever he is here I talk
Have to
about
be
him,
better than him.
he'll just come in. Well, no, it's not to be
It's a
better than
benchmark.
him, but it is to, try to say, all right, if I had gone the route of a traditional job, this is where I would be. So how do I get there? How do I get to the
That
point
is
where
fascinating.
I'm making this kind of money? Now, I had a day job for a little bit. That's actually how I got my injury. We are not getting into that. But so I know that according to 2019, 2020, I am worth roughly $80,000 a year. That is what I made at my previous job.
Okay.
And so how do I get to a point where I can do that? I am absolutely motivated by making really cool stuff. I got a phone call from a client yesterday that I had not talked to in 2 years. And to say their project went to utter shit is putting it very lightly. It was not my fault. There was a third party involved. They torpedoed the whole thing, and this person knew, right?
Wow. Okay.
They're on a war path to try to discredit this. There's a whole story involved in that. They're going to be on the podcast. They agreed to come on and talk about their experience with 3DM. I'm like, yes,
Ooh.
recorded testimonials. And she's like a crazy award-winning inventor, has been on HSN multiple times, crazy, and she's such a sweetheart. Love working with her. And like it's that relationship where she calls me and says, hey, I know this didn't go well and I know it wasn't your fault. I'm calling to see how you're doing. I want to pick this thing back up and I want to do it with you directly because your team gave a shit. And that is the one thing that I've never found anywhere else.
That's fantastic.
And for me, it's those, right? It was the biochem major at the University of South Florida that needed to make an autonomous robot for one of their classes. Why is biochem needing to program Arduino? I don't know. But her entire team gave her the middle finger and she was left to do it all on her own. And her mom and her are just talking to me like, this is this kid's future. If she fails this class, they've got a problem. And, I spent well over 9 hours on that project and I billed them a grand total of $500 because it's not fair. It wasn't fair to bill them what that time was worth. And I really want to bill them for the 3D printing and the materials they used when they were here, but they came to the house. We worked on my set for YouTube because it happens to be a great work table too. We built the whole thing. And the phone call from the mom thanking me, saying that she got an A and it is because of the work that we did, made all the bullshit worth it. It is finding the way to solve the problem that's what keeps me going. For YouTube, I look at like 3 Musketeers as a business and then the YouTube channel are completely separate businesses. Because their target markets are vastly different.
Sure.
I thought that wasn't going to be the case, but here we are.
And like we were saying before the show, like a lot of what you can talk about on the YouTube, like you can't talk about a lot of stuff that you end up doing.
God, I wish
for business. I know it's so frustrating. Some of the coolest stuff I do, I'm not even allowed to talk about.
And like, I have to be careful when I film video. There might be times where my background is fake and you don't know it. Because there are things going on behind me that I can't show. And so either we'll blur a printer out, or we'll do something so that you can't tell. And for YouTube, it's the education side of it. I firmly believe that in another life I was a teacher. And I love educating. So when people say, I randomly found your channel, this video helped me with this, dude, that amps me up. Now, spending, for those that don't know, YouTube does not pay worth a shit. Like,
what?
yeah.
You're not. Yeah, I know you're sitting on a pile of money right now, you liar. I know that.
Well,
the
yeah, I
YouTube
am sitting
money,
on a pile of money. It's negative money. The
What?
channel has never made more than $170 in ad revenue to this date, and it costs me on average about $1,000 a month to run it. Because we have editors, we have people that assist in all.
We call that in the business a loss leader.
Yes,
or at least
that
at
is
the
what
moment,
we call a
right?
loss leader. But there are benefits to it that make it worth it for me, and a lot of it is that intrinsic value of being able to help others. But you know, there's a personal reason too. I am named after the firstborn male in my family has traditionally had the initials GJP. My middle name is Joseph. There you go. So my initials are GJP. And the only other GJP that I ever knew was a phenomenally successful entrepreneur, retired in his early 40s and became a ridiculous philanthropist, and was a mentor that I probably should have called moron. Because
called moron?
Well, yeah, damn, I'm like, should have reworded that one, asshole. No, I probably should have called him more and asked him more questions.
I got you.
He's no longer with us, and you know, when I make these decisions, like when I spent the money on those scanners, money that we did not have. I took out another credit card that had 0% APR for 1 year. Somebody else's money. That's right. To pay for these scanners. And I said, would GJ do this? And I'm saying I can sell them for more than I paid if I really needed to. The market is there. I just have to educate them. Yes, he would do this. I said, all right, I'm going to make the jump. I'm going to do it.
What would GJ do? Okay,
yeah,
good.
WWGJ.
Sure.
Yeah. That is, you know, I want to follow in those footsteps and be another successful entrepreneur of the GJP in the family, right? I want to be the very best like no one ever was, because that's what my head is telling me to say. No, I want to be the boyfriend, fiance, and future husband to Amber that I really should be, and not the person that's working 18 to 20 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I want to build the business to a point where I can do that. That's what motivates me to keep growing the business. And if you're sitting there saying, oh, he's full of shit, go to hell, unsubscribe. I don't care. You know, the motivation is so specific for every person. And for me, it is to be a better me. And some people, it's to get a bunch of money. Yeah, sure. I'd love to be driving a Lambo or something like that. Early retirement would be good. Someone said, did I hear early retirement? Here's Loyal Moses in the chat. How you doing, Loyal? Or early retirement would be awesome. I would love to retire early, but you know what? I don't think I'd ever stop making cool stuff for people. Sure, I might take a bit of a backseat. I feel like you might do the same. But would we ever stop making cool stuff for others? I don't know, man.
I don't want to. In fact, I want to, like what I talk about early retirement. It's like I want to go back to actually doing the making and stuff and doing like those, because like, man, it's so tempting every time, you know, other companies are like releasing stuff. I want to put this kit on. I want to install this. I want to do this Arduino project or whatever. But it's retirement's about being able to do what you want when you want more, not necessarily doing nothing. Like I will never be a go lay on a beach and just read or veg out or whatever. Like
I live in Florida. Do you see how pale I am?
I have to make something. Yeah.
Don't go to the beach. Yeah. That's for the tourists.
I have to be making something. So, you know,
sorry, I got very soapboxy and ranty there, but like there's a passion here that drives everything that we do. And some people aren't aware of it. I am hyper aware of what drives me.
Yeah. I remember vividly multiple times saying like, I want to be retired by the time I'm 50. I want to be retired and I don't know why I picked 50, but I'm like, well, it seems like it could be reasonable and achievable. I've only got 6 years. Do I think I'll get there? Yeah, probably not. I mean, I think that pending some major, you know, disaster of some kind, like I think that I'll be in a much better place, you know, and have hopefully more resources available to get there and stuff like that. But it's, you know, a lot of the business owners that I know, even in retirement, are still like on their board or their advisors.
They're active in some extent.
And they're Yeah, but you know, feeling comfortable with like letting go and trusting it to somebody else. Like I don't feel like it's a big ego thing. Like
Yeah.
I don't know that I'll, you know, feel like, oh, if they're not doing it the way that I would do it, like I don't want to, you know, but who knows? You know, who knows? 6 years is a long time. A lot can change. A lot of opportunity can present it. Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, my thing is you keep putting one foot in front of the other. You keep, you know, trying to be a good human, be kind to other people. Good things will happen. Like I'm a big believer in The Secret. Like the energy that you put out into the world is the energy that you will get back. And so you want to talk about why stress is such a killer. Like I really believe like that negativity side works the other way. When you allow that weight on you, like the fact that it will physically start to manifest in your body is it's verifiable. It's absolutely a true thing. And so, you know, you just really have to, you know, fight for staying positive, being a good person, like dealing with it, you know, and you're going to take your licks and bad things are going to happen too. But you got, you know, it's such a cliche. Everybody's said it before. You just got to get back up again. You got to be able to pivot. That's the best part about this industry, Grant, man. Like we can pivot better than anybody in history. Anybody in history. Oh. And if you're cool with pivoting, you got to be cool with pivoting. Because
I met Amber dancing. I am cool with pivoting. Although I was much cooler with it, you know.
Pivot.
Yeah. I was much better at it, you know, before the cane. See, we used to use canes as accessories. Now it's a necessity. So, you know, whatever. But yes, cool. That is one of the things about these businesses, about maker businesses that are both amazing and terrible, is that we can pivot on a dime. The people don't change, the processes don't change, the staff doesn't change. All it changes is who we're talking to.
Well, and that's a big part of my kind of future vision and something I'm really passionate about.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to steer away from other conversations and stuff, but like a big part of what got me to where I was my experience that, you know, when and you were part of it as well, you know, when COVID first hit and we were doing PPE production and you know, that kind of thing, like the lessons learned from that were a lot of what gave me the inspiration, and a big light bulb moment for me too, that I've been kind of chasing after ever since, is the potential of distributed manufacturing.
We don't deal with supply chains here. We are the supply chain.
Well, and that's the thing. Like that's what a lot of people I've missed from this. That like, if you have the ability to make and create product, like you are already like, you're not dependent. Like I'm not interested in being a reseller. I get approached all the time for stuff, and I do resell some things, especially if they mold well into my vision. But I don't want to be the next Matter Hackers Printed Solid. God bless them. Like, I think that it's fantastic. I love Dave. I love everything that they're doing.
Yep.
But that's not where my passion is. And I like the ability to make and create and to put something that's my own out into the world. And two, that I know that if I have that tool set at my disposal, if I have that machinery at my disposal, like I can do whatever I want, you know, like I'm going to be okay. Right. And so when I think back to the face shield time and stuff like that, and I saw the magnitude of capacity and that a completely different way, a non-traditional way of growing a business, you know, you typically you start in your garage, you get into a bigger place, you get bigger, but you're geographically confined.
I moved into my garage.
There's nothing wrong with the garage, dude.
I've expanded into the garage. Also, I want to give Loyal a shout out. Thank you for the $19.99 super chat. Yeah, streaming does get expensive when you
Loyal
want to pay
knows.
yourself. Yeah.
I'm surprised we're seeing him, man. He's got so many hours in streaming right now, and then he's still got to manage the ranch on top of that. But
I saw the pictures of the snow. Buddy, you might take that money back if I tell you how warm it is here in Florida right now. I'm sorry that you're going through that. You should come down and do a vacation down on the beach, you know, once or twice.
Oh, we got so many awesome people in the chat. The poor Fotis is cold because I made him shave his beard. I bought his beard for the fundraiser for Sanjay.
Are you aware that we're going to be doing something similar eventually?
No, I didn't know you were doing that, but let me know because I'd love to be a part of it.
My hair's quite long.
Oh yeah, you're gonna sell your hair?
So I said this offhanded, on like the first ever video we put on YouTube that I was going to shave my head for charity when my back was taken care of. Well, that was in 2020 when I'm like, it'll be a couple of months. We're almost 2 years deep into the back injury, and I got curls, man. And they're multiplying, and they are losing all control. Okay.
What's the secret, man? You got a nice looking head of hair. You got that like kind of that
my
sheen.
father's very jealous. Well,
you got that sheen. I love it.
There's a light right above me. I have a hair light, but there are studio lights in here. Like
you're not greasing up. Anyway, you got a good hair. So you're gonna. But do you have the head for it, Grant? Do you have the head for it?
I don't know. Like, I've never done it. But Brad, Brad, right?
Yeah.
So Brad's local. He's one of our staff members. Brad put together some of the more funny questions we've asked today. Brad's going to be shaving my head. And initially we were going to do it all for Make-A-Wish because, of course, that's how I met Brad. Although that's how I got to really know Brad. I met Brad prior to that, but it's how I got to know Brad was Make-A-Wish. But I think now it'll be up to Brad. But I'm figuring like a 50-50 split between Make-A-Wish and the Sanjay Foundation would be amazing. And then, people get to buy their logo in my head or something. I don't know. We're going to shave it.
I like that. I like that. You're going to do, remember like the old,
I don't film videos with it, right?
Yeah. The Repkord R in this. That's what I was trying to get photos to do. I want the little Repkord R in the side of his beard before he shaved it off. But anyway,
the right amount of money, the beard is out there too, or whatever crappiness we call this. But
I love it.
I want it. I have philanthropy in my blood. I used to be, hello, my name is Grant, and I do grant writing. That used to be me. My entire life is a meme. Okay, I own a 3D printing business that started by making copies of people, and I'm an identical twin. All right, my entire life is a meme. Pooch,
you're a walking meme. You're a walking meme.
And my dad always laughed. Made the dad jokes of, "Oh, you got a face for radio." I have a YouTube channel now, and he's been on it. He came on for the Father's Day episode.
Oh, hey, that's cool.
Yeah,
we're gonna family affair. I love it.
Now, if I can convince my mom for Mother's Day, she'll be on for Mother's Day and talk about it. That one's actually, the Father's Day episode's great. It's a 2-hour roast fest back and forth of my dad and myself and my brother roasting each other. It's great. It shows my personality pretty heavily that I am not fake on YouTube. If anything, I dial it back. But that business is harder than most people give it. And every now and then someone gets very, very lucky. Very lucky. And, you hit it big, and, you go out and what do? Like every other big business person, you sell books. You sell the motivational books, you become the Grant Cardones.
The Gary Vaynerchuk, sure.
Right. And I can't blame them because it's friggin' brilliant. Right. But they're not in the business of motivating, they're in the business of selling books. Right. If that book happens to motivate you,
I'm a motivational speaker.
Yeah. So I'm not Grant Cardone, I'm Grant Posner. So I'm like, Grant Cardone lesser or something. I don't know. I didn't buy a $50 million jet for tax purposes. All right. I definitely didn't do that. But and I guess we can probably end it on this one. I think this is a good one to end it on.
Sure.
What do you say to new business owners who feel like giving up?
Oof. And you're going to have that. I mean, I still have days. So the first thing is that is okay. That is a completely normal thing, that you're going to have your bad days. And it's always about getting to tomorrow. Like when you have those days, like, one, don't beat yourself up about it, because I still feel that. You still feel that. I'm sure there's like people that are incredibly successful that you're like, what are you even talking about? Are gonna have these days. You're like, is this even worth it, man? I'm so sick of it. So one, it's okay. And two, just get to tomorrow, man. Just keep putting that foot in front of it. You're going to take your licks. It's going to feel like the world is falling down on you. Bad stuff happens. I mean, Loyal can, I'm sure, tell tons of stories around this, man. You just feel like, and especially when it comes to like
Fotis too. Half the guys in this chat can talk about this. Right?
Oh yeah. When you're talking about the people that you're dealing with, the friendships that you thought you had, or whatever, come crumbling down, or you just lose a ton of money on something and something didn't work or what. But at the end of the day, like, you're still the same person that started this business, that had that fire to begin with. And just because it didn't take off, or it might have fallen down in the way that you want doesn't mean that part of what made you passionate about was like went away, and you're just going to do it again. Like, just let's be honest. Like, I know what you're going to be like, you can talk about folding up shop and all this stuff, but like very few people that actually like take the plunge and go for it and fail ever just like don't try again. Like all the books on entrepreneur, all the podcasts you listen to, like they are rife with people talking about their hey, you know, like this is actually my fourth business, my fifth business, my whatever. Like Repkord is actually my third. It's my third business.
Hey, it's my third too.
Yeah, so third time's a charm, hopefully. I don't know.
Let's bring it hope. I don't want to do this shit again.
Yeah. But you know, and you take those teachings and those things that you've learned, and like none of those bad. I don't regret any of the other stuff. Like that's what got me to where I was. And, you know, certainly I look back and go like, oh man, if I knew what I know now then and what I would have done, and I could have gotten here so much faster. I play
the lottery more. Next question.
but that's not even true. Like we tease ourselves with those types of things because like, no, you're here because of a very different set of, like you wouldn't have met the people necessarily if you weren't there at the right time. And so I am a believer, we make our own luck. And it's don't try to do it all yourself. Like it is bigger than you. Like don't diminish the importance for networking. You know, the whole thing that everybody says, it's not what you know, it's who you know. It's very true.
Right there.
It's so true. Like books, like you can go get the MBA, you know, you can set a good background and stuff, but none of that stuff is going to set you up to get as far as fast as interacting with other people, being a part of your community, being humble, learning, never stop learning.
Yeah.
Read.
It's not about you. No one, spoiler alert, young business owners, nobody gives a shit. Unless
you are not special.
You are not special. And chances are you're going to fail. Just like, you know, Pooch and I can fail tomorrow. And
you need to.
Feeling is good. Fotis has a great quote. I got to put it in here. You can't appreciate success without failure. That should have been the title of this podcast, honestly, because that is really what it's about.
It's very true. Fotis is wise. Yeah, that's true.
He is wise. You know, I say to the people that feel like giving up, brother, I have been friggin' there. Take my hand. How can I help? How can we make this happen? Because if there's one thing that maker businesses have, Pooch, how big and how wide is your black book? How many people could you make a phone call and say, I got someone who needs this. Can we make this happen?
It's like I have a lot. I am blessed to have a lot of friends and business acquaintances in this, and it gets bigger every day, and there is more than enough room for more people. And I think I've learned enough about, like, you know, when to ask for help, when to offer help. You know, that just because being accepting of help, just because I have that number in the book, like I'm very, you know, like you hold your asks, you know, you make sure that it's a worthy one, because like it's a give a little, get a little. Like you don't want to be the one that's just constantly like what I never want. You know, you talk about networking and stuff really quick. This is a bit of a digression, but what I never want is for somebody to feel like I called them because I need something.
That's fair.
And that is a really, really hard thing to get to, because I think we're programmed to just like, I want to talk to Grant because, like, you know, he knows this and that and the other thing. So like you have to invest in friendships and networks and business contacts in the same way that you would anything else, where it's like sometimes you're just calling to check in and say, hey, and I'm like, and genuinely care. And I want to hear about what's going on with you and all that stuff, because you don't know when, you know, there may be a good opportunity to work for them, or they may call you and you want to talk about stuff, but like there has to be some more depth than I just need something from you. Like you don't want people to be looking at like you as like a taker. You need to give a little bit too. And that's a hard thing to learn. Like we're lucky that we're in a place now where we have this great community where we can be out there, we can help others, we can encourage others. I am very passionate about that. I want to see other people succeed. I don't claim to have it all figured out, but I am more than happy to try to help anybody that wants the help,
yeah, and legitimately willing, like the inventors that come to us, because inventors are they're trying to start a small business, and when I say, hey, why don't we take a look at your brand positioning? You're trying to come out as the product for everybody, but clearly this product is supposed to be targeted at this market. Why don't we look at either revisiting how you brand your company, or we look at redoing your product? I am not a brand agency. This is not what we do, but we deal with it so often. We have somebody on staff that does this. It is literally their only job, is to help with branding of companies that come through, because we realize
it's important
that we can make whatever you want. The only two limitations in our business are your budget and your imagination. That's it. I can make anything else. Those are the only two limitations.
Well, I would add maybe one more, and that goes back to what you said, like lessons for people getting started off. You have to sell. Like it is, especially for makers, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're dialing for dollars. You're doesn't mean you're out on the corner, hawking stuff.
No one likes cold calling.
I'd say a big failure point for people is the whole what do I call it? The Kevin Costner syndrome, the if I build it, people will come. Like, oh, I've got this great thing out there and I put it out on social media and it's just crickets.
Yeah.
Right.
And don't go to friends and family as product validation. Don't trust them. Go to your local Walmart, go to your local shopping mall, and be the person that gets someone's attention and ask them to fill out a questionnaire.
The best polling you can do as a business is success with sales. People vote with dollars. Like, polling doesn't mean jack. Like, and that's very rough. That's very rough. That's a very broad strokes thing to say. But it is like, we'll put out, you'll see people tweeting about stuff like, oh, if I did this and that and the other thing, would you buy it? And everybody's like, oh yeah, I would totally buy it. I'd totally buy it. And then they do it and nobody buys it, right?
Yeah.
So what it's because at the end of the day, like, people want to be encouraging and helpful and stuff like that, but polling data lies, as we've well seen from other stuff, not to get into any of that, but nothing tells you what people are going to want to do, and nothing validates you as a business like that revenue, that sales dollar figure, man. Oh, I love it. I want it.
Sanjay said it, right? I had a very similar talk with Sanjay in the Sanjay series. If you guys haven't seen it, go watch it. Where he said it's not about the P&Ls. At the end of the day, it's not about P&Ls. It's money in the bank. And it like Loyal says, business owners are salespeople. That's right, we're salespeople. But if you're out there begging, the hungry man never eats, right? It's like, go to a bar and be that desperate person that's trying to take somebody home. Yeah. You're going home alone. But if you go there confident,
be cool, man.
Yeah, be cool, man. Be cool. Which, do not take any advice on being cool from anybody on this podcast. But, I
don't know anything about being cool. No
we
way.
don't know a damn thing about being cool. We did get a super chat from Skyblock as Pog asking...
Pogs. Remember Pogs?
Yes. Yeah, no. Of course I remember Pogs. I grew up in the 90s, Pooch. What is your 90s. Best printer for TPU? I said it's a Prusa. It's my MK3S, but only 2 of them really like printing TPU. The other ones just don't.
That's interesting. Yeah, I would say Prusa is certainly a great candidate for most of those things, mostly because they've spent so much time validating it for so many different materials and stuff like that. Yeah. But obviously you want that direct drive typically, which isn't to say that you can't do it with Bowden. It's possible.
It's harder to push a rope.
It's really hard to push a rope. That's a great metaphor for business too. But anyway, yeah, those Bondtech gears or anything with that dual drive, is good, and go slow or start slow. Certainly, TPU, like don't
go full on Ninja Flex. Go for like their semi flex, but yeah, and be patient. Just like any 3D printing, like you're gonna have to dial it in. You're gonna have to figure out your tints. You're gonna do it's slow comparatively. Sure. I'm told the Hemera from E3D is a great TPU printer.
I still don't have a Hemera.
I'm glad I'm not the only one. I don't have a Hemera
as much as I want it. And what's funny is because I'm pretty sure Claire would just send me one if I asked, but I don't because I reserve my asks. And the same thing is, it's like, I don't want to waste the time. Like people offer to send me stuff all the time. And I'm like, I I don't want to say yes because I don't want you to have to like wait around like 6 months for me to actually have time to do it.
Yep.
But I do hear really good things about the Hemera for that as well.
I have too. I know on the Prusas we're limited to about 30 to 35 millimeters a second. Beyond that, it's going to get wound around those Bondtech gears. I'm told Hemeras can do like 60 on TPU, but yeah. There's Mad Monkey Makes showing off. He's got several Hemeras. That's right. He's like
Hemera,
I got a tool changer.
Hemera, just making it rain Hemeras.
Yeah.
And Revos and tool changers. Yeah,
I do have a pair of Revos. Claire did, or maybe it was Georgia. It was Claire, Georgia, sent over a pair of Revos. We just actually put out the video of my first look at it, and boy, the comments are rough in that video. Oh, the comments are rough. Oh, they're real rough. People don't realize that if you are a maker and if you're building Vorons, the Revo's not for you. Sanjay himself said it. It's not for you. But man, business is.
That's okay. That's okay.
That's okay.
Not everything for every person. Yeah.
You know why? Because as a business owner, I hate changing nozzles. It's the worst part of my day. It's like
you know it. If you're running a farm, you know that sucks.
Grabbing the thing, getting under there, and the bending to like. If you have a good back, it hurts to like do that whole spine contortion bullshit to get it done.
Look, and man, even with the Mosquito, even with the other one, like they've been around.
Yeah,
like,
there are others
that
out
process. There. That process has changed. So I'm just super excited. I have two that we've been testing that were sent to me by E3D as well. And I told them I'm only interested. Like, I've been talking with E3D for a while about reselling E3D stuff, but like I said, I want to find things that like I either use every day that I'm an advocate for, or that like dovetail into what I'm doing more. And like I said, I'm not trying to be Matterhackers, and I'm not trying to be Printed Solid, but the Revo as a drop-in, the Revo 6 is a drop-in replacement for the Mark III. It cannot be overstated what an upgrade that is when you're farming and need to be able to do that nozzle change quickly. I've looked at a lot of different options for that too.
So this is a future video too. I just got this in the mail. It's definitely not a drug scale. I definitely looked up herb scale and found this a lot easier than looking for high precision scale. So good job, Amazon. I guess you know your product market. But
somebody's doing some good SEO there.
Yeah,
I love it.
The complaints are that the Revo is only stated at 10 millimeters cubed per second before it starts to lose.
High flow.
Yeah. Its flow is lower than a V6. Well, I've got a Revo. I've got V6s. We're gonna test that, and I'm gonna make it happen. And
I'm eager to see. I'm eager to see what you find. But I'll tell you what. Even if that is the case, I will take that trade. Too. Yeah, I've got two of them. I will take that trade-off still, even if that does prove to be the case. But yes, I'm lucky. You talk about the Black Book. I've talked to my Prusa contacts because they vetted, they were very involved with the evolution of Revo, and then what they, I don't want to say forked, but became their extruder. But it is nice to see something revolutionary in terms of like new thing coming to market that actually provides a different degree of utility.
Yep.
And still, again, I'm looking at it through business owner eyes and stuff like that. And I'm like, even if it makes me go a little bit slower, if it affords me time saved and easier maintenance and
not burning my hands or my staff's
and not burning
hands.
Oh my God. Yeah. Like I feel I'm one workers' comp claim away from disaster.
Don't remind me about
all the fears. Anyway.
Yeah. The Revo to me will change it for small business. I don't think it's going to have that big of an impact on hobbyists. Unless you're at like an ender and you want to go over to a better hot end, I think a Revo would be a better option as a starter. But I mean, that business model is crazy. And of course, everything that's going to change at E3D now with the passing of Sanjay we are going to see a paradigm shift in how things occur there. And I hope that I know they're going to do it well, but I hope that we do see a Sanjay edition of all of this stuff so that we can pay more money and it goes right to the Sanjay Foundation. Because man, what you and I talk about, our fundamentals are that education, empowerment, creation, right? Those are, like, when I look at the three pillars of my business, those are the three pillars that we have: education, empower, creation. I believe Sanjay was all for that, and that is where that foundation is going. So I want to
support it, be part of
really
it. Nice.
Support that. And my background in fundraising is like, hell yeah, let's do this.
It's fantastic, man.
But yeah, man,
it's really awesome here.
If you guys don't know Pooch from Repkord, good lord, what is wrong with you? Go follow him on all the social media links. You're at Repkord basically everywhere, right?
Yeah, it's Repkord everywhere. I wish I was more active on all the other places, but Twitter is really where I spend most of my time. But yeah, would love to see you send your ideas and interact. I love interacting.
We got to do this more often, man. I really enjoy this. This literally came from a whim of a tweet where you were clearly having a rough time with a customer, and you're just like, F this, the Twitterverse needs to know. And I'm like, sir, can we please, one more time for those in the back of the room?
In the back.
Yeah.
Oh, man, just think about all the ones that I bite my tongue on, too. I'm like, every once in a while one slips out, but I probably got to. I mean, the Pooch rant was built from, born from a specific place. But, I think it's got value if it provides some perspective, maybe a learning opportunity, a way for other businesses to handle stuff. I think it's good. And man, we could talk forever on just pricing alone and tips for business. And I think there's something here. I think I would love to see, and I would love to be able to spend some more time, talking and hopefully advocating and helping others that might be interested in forging a path as a maker entrepreneur as well, or even just a general entrepreneur. I love entrepreneurship stuff.
It is. And I think so few entrepreneurs out there look at it and say, I need help. And I was the same way. Like, I'm putting my head down. I can do this. I'll trudge through the mud on my own. But dude, when you ask other entrepreneurs for help, the amount of responses that you get, especially when they're like semi-related in the industry, oh, dude, it's amazing. And
well, the problem is it's like drinking from a fire hose a lot of the time now.
Because the rest of us are like, oh, buddy, take a seat. Let's talk.
Yeah. How much time you got?
Yeah.
How much time you got?
Yeah.
But no, there are a lot of good people out there that want to help and that aren't just trying to make a buck off of you. And not everybody's going to give you good or appropriate advice or advice that works for you because, ultimately you do have to forge your own path. But I think it's good, to always, network and work with other people, because you never know when something's going to come along that just may steer you in a direction or trigger an idea or get you to the next foothold,
It's true. Yeah. And like Pooch said, it is not about what you know. It's about who you know. That is really what it is. And, if there's anybody out there that is looking to start a small business, YouTube at 3dmusketeers.com. You can send me an email. I will be happy to set up a 25-minute meeting with you where you can literally ask me anything. I'm not going to tell you my pricing. You can go to hell, figure out your own. But I will help you any other way that I can. You can
maintain some secret sauce, right?
Yeah,
people are like, when are you going to open source this? I'm like, you know what? I'm very supportive of open source and stuff, but like, I do have to retain some things to maintain profitability and stuff too. So I respect that, man.
Yeah. It is, it's tough because I want to be public about it, but I know that our competitors watch this because I can see, I will put things in videos that it's deliberately red herrings, and I see them making moves. I'm like, oh, okay. I see you. I know you're watching. So now I'm going to deliberately start throwing you off.
Here's the thing, and I'm going to drop this. Will be my last nugget for the day.
Yeah.
Maybe, who knows? I don't know, but like,
we are almost 3 hours.
Kind of a revolution. I know, but that's how much I love this stuff.
Right.
When you get to the place that you want to be and where you need to be as a business, the price doesn't matter as much anymore. And that sounds really kind of a weird, ethereal thing to say, but it's true in the sense that, like, even if your formula got out or whatever, like, people are doing business with you because they want to do business with you.
Yep.
There is going to be some dollar, like, this is not an always everything and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's like, they're not going to be like chasing the dollar as much for that. And if they are, they're not the customer that you want that works with your thing, you know?
Yep.
But you need to invest in your business and get yourself to the point where people are doing business with you because they want to work with you, not because they're the dollar sensitivity piece. You know, hopefully you're when you look at the bell curve of pricing and stuff, you're where you need to be, but people are going to be willing to pay more, and a lot of times a lot more, so that they can work with Grant.
Oh, I hope so. Because
Lately,
it hasn't been that way, but you know, there's ebb and flow to it. You got to roll with the punches, and if you don't know how to take a punch, you don't know how to shrug it off. Maybe it's time to sit back and evaluate if this is the right move. Business is not for everybody, right? That's a great...
Loyal said it earlier. Not everybody has the. In fact, a lot of people don't have the stomach for it. You're gonna take some gut shots, man, and some face shot too. Not in the face. It's in the face. Yeah, but you're absolutely right. Not everybody has the stomach for it, and it's a journey, and it's not. You don't get overnight success, and you got to sell, and you got to do all the stuff that you don't want to do, and we could go on forever.
It's true. Yeah, I don't sit here and just get to make cool videos and get to make tons of money doing it. I don't get to sit here and make life-size versions of Steve Aoki anymore, because that was definitely a thing that we did back in the day. Don't get to make those anymore. You know, but I still love what we do. I love that every day is different. And if you love doing something different every single day, if you love being the ultimate control of whether your business fails and being completely out of control if it succeeds, because the success is completely on the team, failure is solely on me. That's how I look at things. Maybe you're ready.
Maybe you're ready, and it's all about problem solving. And I'm gonna quote my favorite book and one of my favorite movies of all time, The Martian. If you solve enough problems, you get to go home. That's really what it's about. Going home. Let's call that retirement or whatever, or sometimes it's just going home at the end of the day. But it's problem solving. You've got to be able to think out, figure out, how do I get here? Come up with creative solutions. You're not always going to have the money. We took on CR30 sales because I wanted to have a CR30 farm. I didn't have the cash to just pay outright for the farm. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, you know what? Let me approach Creality and see if I can resell these and maybe use some of those funds to fund our operation here. Get creative with stuff.
Yep. Yeah, reinvestment is crazy. And understand, you should not always be getting paid. It is not all about you getting paid. It is all about making the business grow. When the business is successful, then you can get paid.
You get paid last, and you get paid when you deserve to get paid. So, get there. Hopefully work hard and you'll get there. But we didn't even get into legit employees and what that feels like, and payroll and you're the last one that gets the paycheck. You got to make sure everybody else is paid, otherwise nobody's showing up.
Oh yeah, we put out, I think, just a hair over $30,000 in staff pay last year. No, over almost $50,000 in staff pay last year. And I know you're like, oh, that's nothing, but for a company as small as we are, and for how the pandemic and everything has affected us, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money.
No,
and
that's a lot of money, dude. No,
if you can't sit there and say, I'm okay with paying everybody else 50 G's, total, while I earn not a rat cent. Quite literally, you look at it and say, well, the more I work in this business, the less money it makes. So my time's worth negative per. What? Did I divide by zero somewhere? What's going on here? But yes, it is about drive. It's about power. We stay hungry. We devour. It's the rock stuff, right?
Absolutely.
I'm always gonna make music jokes. I'm always going to do that. But yes, seriously, guys, go follow Pooch at Repkord on all the places. I'll make sure. I don't think I have them in the description, but I'll update that as soon as this is over, so they're in there. Again, we're here to help. It's what we do. We got to have you back on another time, Pooch. Thank you so much for hanging out. We are on 3
Thanks
hours.
for having me, man. Happy to do it. And it flew by. So I love it. But it's good seeing everybody today. Enjoy your weekend. And Make on.
Do you know my outro?
What's your no, I do not. Tell let's hear it because it's your outro.
I like it when if the guests know the outro, I let them do it. Well, that's all we got for you guys today. Stay safe out there. Don't forget to call your loved ones. And as always, keep making awesome. With Pooch, go buy a rep box. Good Lord. Support this man. He spent 3 hours talking. Go buy a damn rep box. We'll see you guys later.
Love you all.